like, this is, I like, which by the way, every single person that loves debate will also absolutely champion this and be like, no, it's not because for a lot of these people, like even their most favorite thing, debate, being denied to them is still okay as long as they can use that as a cudgel, as they can use it as a sword to wield against me.
He did with Ethan. I'm not going to talk to Hassan. I'm not going to go and...
Did he actually say I lied a bunch when he was reacting to my Ethan Asman also watched a LEFTTUBE saying that the famine in Yemen was caused by the Houthis and not the Saudis. Oh my God. Oh.
Be like, okay, let's explain what it is. I'm watching the clip. I'm not going to explain this. I'm not going to have somebody lie to me. I have no interest and not even a slight desire to have any conversation about it whatsoever.
Yeah, he would destroy me, and I'm scared. I'm scared of his intellectual prowess. I'm actually very excited that I'm very excited that he won't take up my offer of besting me in the marketplace of ideas. And it's certainly not because he has basically carved himself a nice little niche as the top political content creator. And if he were to actually try to have a conversation, a contentious conversation with someone who knows not that much, but just like definitely more than him, he would look like a silly man. And in a way where his audience would recognize it and would not appreciate it. For the record, there has never, ever, ever been a moment where I have been, especially when I'm directly talking to Asmongold. You could say I've been uncharitable when not talking to Asmongold, but about Asmongold. But when talking directly to Asmongold, I have always maintained charity, reacting to the charity that he has given me and my positions in the past. I didn't even call for his ban when he said the Palestinian like they're inferior culture. I never called for his ban, even though his community unironically was like, oh, he wants them to get banned. He caused them to get banned. You're giving charity to someone who wants their Twitch career to die. I mean, I don't care. Yeah, I know. It's not, join the line, you know?
You are expressing material support for a terrorist organization. You do so on a daily basis.
Whoa!
And that's it. It's literally that simple. It's obvious.
Based. I'm expressing material support for a terrorist organization. Yeah. I'm arming and funding. I'm arming and funding.
Team deathmatch. Destroy the enemy.
Come on, that's pretty clever.
Or it's going to the Arm Hamas fund. And offering material support to terrorism.
Here. That's all you. You're just carrying me around.
What the fuck do you think our tax dollars go to? You know, that's actually kind of a banger. I'm gonna probably just keep This is the funniest response. In a 2022 stream, we never used add-on for World of Warcraft rating. Directly
I know I do a lot of stuff, but that was hardcore.
Qatar funds me alongside George Soros. What ends up happening is I take those funds from George Soros and Qatar. George Soros is also secretly Qatari. And then I take those funds
let's
and
call this duty.
I give it to Hamas. You are in a co-op with Hamas.
Hostile shooter!
Hell yes! Oh my God, this game is
777. Thank you for bringing the funds that I will inevitably give to around the planet. That's right. What?
You know what I said?
Last week, when Asmongold,
whoa, he had a gun.
This person posted 28,000 likes.
All right,
of all of
let's
these
call this duty.
charlatans and grifters, look no further than, I don't know, what they've
Learned your fucking lesson yet? Enemy beyond!
getting killed.
I think it does kind of makes them look unhinged because people don't understand like what Tourette's is. Like for example, if you go back and watch a lot of my old videos, I used to cover my mouth a lot whenever I would smile because I thought it was so in often cases there are things that you try to avoid displaying to your audience, even though there are parts.
Bro, this is him trying to demonstrate empathy. That's
I don't judge you!
We're like Seth Rogen.
this is such a
Come on, that's
Hostile counter UAV established above. Enemy UAV inbound.
Take out that UAV!
hell yes. Oh my god, this game is intense.
Take out that UAV!
Your ammo's low.
Take out that UAV!
He straight up said he was a bad person. Stolen valor. It wasn't me displaying humanity. It was my mods.
Sound like a heartless thing to say, but I'm a
Take it still!
for what
Yeah, thank you for looking. Shut your kicks off, dude.
telling them something they might not want to hear. Like,
You might not want to hear because it's like a cold hard truth, man. I'm sure for 40 years of his life, he's very aware, especially considering he spent the last 2 decades in front of a camera on how people read into it. What the dude? I mean, I know.
Yo, go! Good!
Say isn't a slur.
Back down!
UAV in the turn. We have eyes on.
Title of this, okay?
All right, let's call this duty.
UAV fuel check 50%.
Celebrating it, dude.
Move it!
Celebrating it. You're a loser. You support terroristic.
Put me in a gun.
Mission timeline expired.
So he
UAV RTV.
You're supposed to be the CIA's best. Act like it.
Tango down. Enemy in the black.
All right, let's call this duty.
these show the limit of the Iron Dome.
Underwhelming effort, Crimson.
Moving evac point. Situation's
Thank you
full
for
block.
taking me with you. I've never done
That's my
war before.
limit. All
I'm a
right,
mantle
I've been
gun.
pretty- But this is actually.
Back down!
Kidnapping operations alongside the Department of Homeland Security with Tom Homan. That's the. Yeah, my stream title is Material Support.
I think they should ban them. I do. This is expressing material support for a terrorist group.
He doesn't know what that fucking word means.
Oh man. Maybe he's taking this position because he had a brilliant foreign policy analysis, and in In that big foreign policy analysis against like what America should do to the Houthis, he was like, "Yeah, just bomb them and back to the Stone Age, based. Bomb them back to the Stone Age, dude." What the do you think material support means, man? What does expressing material support mean? Please explain. Material support is unironically the language that he learned from the Trump administration. Material support means sending arms or money or some kind of like direct munitions, something like that, to a terror organization. He learned about it when he most likely learned about it when he saw the Mahmoud Khalil arrest, because the State Department erroneously claimed that Mahmoud Khalil was offering material support to terror groups. He wasn't, and that is like at the heart of the point of contention. But yeah, Central Committee is right. Money, training, weapons, transportation, or any tangible or intangible property. And of course, that's not something that I have the capability of doing. That's not, it's just not something that I can do. It's impossible for me to do. And if I were to actually do it, I would have been in prison by now. Okay? What Asmongold is trying to do is repeat what the administration erroneously claimed about Mahmoud Khalil, which is kind of at the heart of his false detainment, his false detention, and possible deportation proceedings. Because you can't just do material support through even coming out and being like, the Houthis are actually on the right side of this conflict as they stand against Israel's genocide. Like that's not material support. That's ISIS charity stream would be bannable. No, even a Hamas charity stream, a Hamas fundraiser is not only bannable, but it's also, well, one, it's impossible. Okay. One, it's impossible. Two, it's bannable. And three, you're banned by the federal government at that point. That's not a thing you can do. So it does not mean expressing a lot of support. I am shocked, I tell you. Yeah, no. You could literally say you love Hamas every day, up and down, okay? You probably would get banned if you were to say something like that. Most likely, it would be ridiculous by my estimation. It would be ridiculous unless it was like, unless you were saying something insane. Like you were like, oh yeah, October 7th was awesome or some shit like that. Then yeah, that is a perfectly valid, justifiable ban. Probably a justifiable ban if you said that in terms of Hamas's militancy or anything along those lines. But in terms of like what the Houthis are doing, describing their militancy in the Red Sea as a matter of international law is not even express support for the Houthis in a way where it's like a bannable offense. It's like saying I love Cuba. Okay, Cuba is technically a state sponsor of terror. If I say I love Cuba, which by the way I'm unironically about to go to Cuba to begin with, if I were to say I love Cuba and I think like the Cuban medical program is great, and then Twitch banned me for that, that would be insane. And it's the same thing for Yemen. Sounds like you are scared.
Deathmatch. Eliminate all threats. We got the lead.
Hostile eliminated. Hey, don't.
I'm too old to be playing these fucking games.
Which is a bannable offense.
All right, let's call this. Headshot.
In plain English,
I don't have to run in here. That's all you.
Inferior culture, so they deserve to be genocide. That's what he said. So I don't think
a terrorist organization.
More like
that is
Seth Rowe
actively
gun.
Totally unreasonable. There's no justification for this.
I've heard of the war on comedy, but this is ridiculous. I see you.
Hell yes.
I'm once
Which wants to say that? Say that?
Reloading. We're like starting our own gun. Come on, that's pretty clever. Just killed that guy. What the fuck, man?
Alluding to great replacement, etc. I mean,
Whoa, put me in a gun.
I will be talking about this on my podcast.
like, what more do you want to say?
All right, let's call this dude.
What would let him get? Like, I almost want to hear what he wants to say. What are those things that you want to say? I'm already say everything. He's gonna get banned. He's gonna do a fundraiser.
Set it up.
If I want, he wants to say, "Oh my god."
This shit ain't working. We've lost the advantage.
Holy self your own gun. Come on, that's pretty clever. On the mend.
Attacking civilians.
It's like a
Watch it!
Hey, don't worry, bud.
Falling behind.
Have you guys tried talking it out instead of the whole fighting?
Glad I don't have to run. You're just carrying me around. Hey, what the fuck was that?
We're taking control.
So fucking weak.
Push through!
Come on, you're losing this fight. You gonna let a bunch of company assholes beat you? Fight back, damn it!
Actually say this all the time. And the reason
All right, let's call this duty.
We got the lead. Now hold it. Bravo fucking Zulu, Black Ops.
I probably should not be operating heavy machinery right now.
Woke of the day is when people speak out of turn and say dumb fucking bullshit, presenting themselves as the moral authority of being led.
Hostile eliminated.
What are we talking
You
about?
This is a weird career pivot for me.
And also, you're so you're gonna fucking talk to someone who knows maybe a little bit more than you about the issues that you speak on. That ultimately you're gonna look like a fool in front of your audience. They're gonna dunk on you, so you don't even want to do that. Asmongold is terrified of saying something. Is Chad in general agree? Yeah.
Yeah, bomb you in. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm also have a hope core zoo yelling at a chatter like this. Exactly. I'll use a hoax science anyways. They don't know shit. You're a fucking baboon, dude. Not even a baboon, because I feel like even a fucking baboon would be like, disease, I think here. I should move away. You, on the other hand, are rushing towards the fucking disease. What do you know? You're a fucking Twitch commenter, dude. What are you talking about? What happened to the fucking universe, dude? All technological advancements, fucking academia, the field of research, scientific discovery, cast it aside. Throw it away. Look alive, gentlemen. There's an American here. People just straight up, they go, excuse me, thousands of years of research ain't never seen a guy like me before. All of the fucking experts are stupid. You're not even literate. Shut the fuck up. Americans unironically think they know better than like Germans because I can't see it. Do you ever even remember where you scream? Yes, but sometimes I just lock in. A random streamer I watched on GTRP randomly brought you up today and you said you just say whatever chat tells you. People are delusional. Yeah, I love that shit, dude. I love that shit. It's like, it's so fucking stupid. Which is it? Am I a fucking grifter? Listen, am I a goddamn grifter who is audience captured, or am I a radicalizing force that is causing Americans to take these like incredibly dangerous positions that were not previously popular? Because it can't be both. Which is it? They say both. They're like, Hassan is very dangerous because he's actually actively radicalizing people to positions that they didn't have, which implies that I'm not fucking audience captured in that regard. What the fuck does that mean? If I was audience captured, I wouldn't be radicalizing them into positions that they didn't have.
Domination.
How does
Secure
that
the
work?
objective.
Like, my perspective
Taking
is
C.
not exactly commonplace. You don't get to hear a lot of people in the United States.
Zone C secure.
What America's doing.
The lead is ours.
In terms of his foreign policy, it's like really, really evil for the most part. Even stupider is that attention to anything I've said. If I have, if you've ever paid attention to the past decade, you realize
Securing B. Securing Alpha.
I forget that I'm wearing an apolitical centrist.
Losing
hat,
B.
So a lot of people are probably going, "What's the apolitical centrist?" Positions are commonplace.
Zone Alpha captured. We're losing Alpha. They're taking all zones. We lost B. We lost Alpha.
120,000 people tuned in here yesterday. 130 almost.
We're losing Charlie.
Here's the thing that a lot of people talking about some aspects of it because like I do feel apologetic.
Taking Bravo underway. We've given up the lead.
Kind of sad because
They're taking C. Taking B.
ahead of time, like I'm saying over again was
C secured.
to have a conversation around
We're losing Charlie.
the actual
Losing Bravo.
situation is Israel's mass starvation campaign. My former podcast co-host has like handled himself.
Bravo lost. We lost all zones.
Harassment, right?
Control zone C. They're taking C. Bravo zone secure.
Get the conversation back to the issues that matter a little bit further.
Losing A.
I don't know. There were on the spot moments where I stood.
We're losing Alpha.
Down and
Enemy RCXD detected.
the conversation.
We've claimed the advantage. Now hold it. We're losing Charlie. We're losing all zones.
Though, he was very clearly lying about those things, and there I had
Securing zone A. We've lost Charlie.
show my side all that much. Ultimately, he did most of the work, making himself look a certain way to the onlookers. But I do believe that,
Hostiles
this
reclaimed the
is-
lead.
I believe personally, there's a very high bar here for myself that I
Taking
wanted to-
Alpha.
I wanted to.
Alpha secure. Losing B.
More like
Requesting recon above!
That he is actually
Deploying
against
RCXD!
genocide, and that he is actually
We lost B.
genocide. Because his behavior
Enemy
did not
scout
make
post
sense.
detected.
You know what I mean?
Locking down Charlie.
Issues that I wanted to get to, the conflation of anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism that we didn't actually talk about. But I don't know what it looked like on the other side. I don't know what it looked
Locking
like on the
down
other side,
Bravo.
but on my side, even when I'm looking back at the clip,
Locked down.
All right, let's call this duty.
Securing C.
Change the audio, so I cranked up. Wait, it's probably still blown out.
Location secure. Maintain current posture.
So glad I was
We're winning. Keep it that way.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
When that happened, you got forced in that debate. Oh, I assume that there's going to be a lot of people like this that come in today, of course, and say stuff like this. Big dogs, but
Taking B.
Hold them back.
Lock C.
you'll be seeing a lot of these.
Watchdog Kilo incoming on your location. Losing A. Bravo is ours.
Totally aware of everything that's going on.
Losing Bravo. Securing Charlie. You're falling behind, Crimson. Losing B. Daily authorizing UAV mission. Taking A. Losing Bravo.
People that have no interest in politics whatsoever, we once again, who are apolitical in the nature, apolitical.
Lock down A.
Video clips, you can't just wing it again. What is this? There's probably a reason why all the people who...
Incoming! Take it still! Enemy Springman! Get out, frag!
Taking the lead. Stay on task. We're losing Alpha.
Because Ethan did not want to blow his load on him in the same way. In a way that I tried to also do.
Enemy throwing stun.
He would not
We lost B.
move on to a topic that actually matters.
Nice, got the objective.
Some in Asma's chat want you to be deported.
Securing B.
And they are, baby. Yeah. I think a real moderator would have made it a lot better. Dan was not really doing any moderating and had your send the clips.
They've taken the lead.
All things considered,
We locked down.
you know, I don't think that I did a poor job. Make no mistake. I'm just being, even in the most hypercritical, even
Losing B.
even being
The lead is ours.
What's going on?
I still wanted to do something here, and the thing I wanted to do was like not cheat. Last night as well.
Charlie.
I did succumb to
Losing A.
the whims of. I did succumb to the whims.
Losing Bravo. We lost A.
Getting Ethan to admit certain things
Securing
that-
Alpha.
that basically.
All zones lost.
Locking down the air!
Zone A secure.
I'm diving into it. I
We've
didn't
given
blast
up the
off.
lead.
Let me just blast off and then we'll get into it. You slept like a baby in your race car bed, which is somehow known. Yeah, I don't know why he kept saying I have a race car bed. I think he might be mistaking me with Ludwig for thinking I have a race car bed, because I think Ludwig had a race car bed when he was doing his we really, me and the boys got together to try to figure out what was going on, you know? And I think he thinks it's a joke from The Simpsons. Oh, okay. I mean, there was a lot of moments where he was just like making erroneous claims and then walking them back and admitting to lying and smearing just to move on, I think. But yeah. There was also the moment where he was like, "Your head is small," which I thought was like kind of a funny introduction, because it was like in between him calling me like a vicious anti-Semite, and it's such a funny thing to be like I don't think. First of all, it's a meme in my community. You know what I mean? It's something that I've joked about. It's something that I've joked about with him, right? So it's like if I'm having a heated debate with like a neo-Nazi, with someone who is truly an anti-Semite, I'm not going to in between shift gears to make I'm not going to shift gears to make jokes where it's like myself and that person have shared as a shared experience. Like, I feel like that's kind of an odd thing. That's like a very weird thing to do. Bye. His chat was reacting how you expected they be. Yeah. Like, some of this stuff just simply doesn't make sense. If he thinks I'm like this vicious anti-Semite, worse than Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes, which is what he said, then the way he is talking to me doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? If this is the case, then he has to have more evidence than, I suspect you bought this incredibly popular anime sword that that you did 2
Kill
years ago.
confirmed.
When we had
Time to get our hands dirty, Black Ops. Get to work.
be anti-Semitic, but also as of 2 days ago, I didn't consider you to be anti-Semitic. But as of this very moment, after the conversation that we had, I have now decided you are anti-Semitic. Like, that's none of that makes sense. The way he was presenting himself basically did not make sense with
More like Seth Rowe gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
Jet call. Enemy watchdog helo inbound.
It's like this is something that I was arguing against and something that I don't want, right? In terms of like all the slop tubers that
Using lethal. Sighting in on enemy score streak.
On this that we watched on the broadcast. As odd as it may be, direct attempt to try and find an explosive target that you said and
Hostile score streak spotted. Sighting in on enemy score streak.
Israel-Palestine, and they didn't treat him situation
Lethal!
Clear. Sniper is down.
It's like impossible for people to not have an unnuanced and very straightforward opinion on it, and it's understandable because this is the one thing that is understandable to have a black and white perspective on, right? So that's what it is, right? Like that's I think like everything else is just seasoning on top of that, where he just wants to make this argument presentable and not come across as like selfish and obsessive. And I don't think he laid out a convincing case for that. And my
There's an enemy shooter!
to first and foremost bring it back to the issues caused by consistently identifying who have been critical of Ethan and his
put me in a
coverage
gun.
as anti-Semites that are worthy of they brought forward.
Fortune, I'm fragile.
But in a way that makes him look good. Basically, you doing concessions is what I got. I think he likes you, but he's hurt. No, I don't think so. I think he despises me, and he said it. See, he said it. I mean, this is not even a debate tag. This is an incredibly childish thing that he did, which I think did not present him in a good light at all. So I don't know why anyone would look to this and be like, he was so composed.
You don't know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it was on the list. You're lying.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I got a free roll
Cool,
hat
dude.
from a friend of mine.
Yeah, and your son.
These are arguments. They were very interesting. Like it was basically just like
Hey, don't worry, bud. You're doing your
childlike
best.
mockery, and I was fairly composed through it. Like I didn't really eat the bait because I think he was just trying to get something out of me in most of these situations. And if you notice,
Oh, I see you.
It's not when he's like calling me an anti-Semite or whatever, or doing petty drama or this kind of
Push through!
repulsive or inconsistent with other things that he said about Israel that make no sense. Consider the platform pro-Palestine.
That was too close.
And that was the only time where I was like, shut up. Like he was trying to provoke me, and I didn't really think that at all. And
I am not made for this. I do ceramics.
Ad-lib stuff.
Shots need to
I
remove.
don't know why he also like made fun of me stuttering once. Like, dude, I don't make fun of you for having Tourette's. That would be ableist, right? Like that is an incredibly ableist thing to do. Even if this is like a totally different way to is manic and crazy, not because of your Tourette's, but instead it's because of the things you're saying. And I think potentially he was trying to goad me maybe to like refine the time so he could be like, you're being ableist.
Hostile in my sights. Target down.
Watchdog helo incoming on your location.
Come on, that's pretty clever.
I will decide who's hallucinating. Hassan.
Hostile score 3 spotted. Hey, when do I get to drive a tank? Is that a thing?
Getting worse.
What the fuck's going on out there? Tighten up and show some spine.
Next to a concentration camp, Hassan, yes. Yeah, of course. But
On the move.
I did not even expect him to be that good faith in general. But it doesn't matter. People who watched it, who already had preconceived notions of Israel and Palestine, that have found themselves in this ideology where they think Israel is doing a genocide.
Enemy care package above. Enemy UAV inbound.
Islamophobic sentiment, the endless amount of posts they're showing, collective consciousness. Every single militant, every single organization, every single always in the wrong.
Calling in score streak.
UAV established or liberated their country.
Enemy dreadnought inbound on your location.
Sorry, this is my first time doing warfare.
UAV fuel check 50%.
Enemy field upgrade. Not good. Enemy field upgrade. Not good.
UAV overflight terminated. UAV standing by.
I'm here to answer the calls of duties. Call of duty, the calls of operator establishing score streak.
UAV in the turret. Be advised on.
I don't believe in bad luck. Just bad aim.
Man,
Get
we
that.
definitely don't have this stuff in Canada.
IDF being the significantly worse group. That's it. And the reality of the matter is, even though it is IDF is far worse prowess that they have, or even the fact that with all of the overwhelming power that they have done so much destruction to the Palestinian population, a civilian population. This is why I kept saying over and over again. This is why I kept repeating over and over again that like Hamas would not exist if the IDF did not exist. Hamas would not exist if the Israeli state wasn't maintaining an apartheid state that is incredibly violent. Dude, him saying that if Anne Frank fought back or killed a Nazi would have changed his opinion of her for the worse, that was absolutely insane. I know. But even when libs decide that much later, a liberation movement was a good thing, they also whitewash it. Yeah, that too. I just got here, so sorry if you went over. Can you explain your views on permissibility of using unrelated citizens as prisoners? Did you mean it's a good war tactic? No, I'm not saying it's a good war tactic at all. I'm saying that there's no other way to take over a ship without, taking over the people that are operating on the ship. The treatment of the hostages is what matters in this situation. And yeah, it probably would have been better if they had released the ship crew beforehand, But I think the reason why they are actually taking over ships and disrupting commercial shipping and also combating against, fighting against even the American Navy that's trying to disrupt that operation thousands of miles away from the American border, by the way. The reason why I think that is, it's not the best thing to do, but it's also the only thing that they have in their arsenal. So yes, I think that ultimately, and many people will agree with this, unless they are totally operating on the boundaries of like, well, these guys are bad and wrong because they're scary and America told me so. If you look at it from the framework of like genocide and who is resisting against genocide and what they are doing within the limited powers that they have, that they absolutely would have to come to terms with the fact that what the Houthis are doing in this framework, resisting against genocide, is correct. It is morally correct, even if some of the methods actually fall short of a standard that you fall short of your own personal standards and mine as well. I hope that that 14-month subscriber understands my position on this, because there is no comparison between the Israeli occupying force and Hamas, especially because Hamas is a militant resistance group against the apartheid that is maintained by the Israeli occupying force. That is the major problem. The bigotry of low expectations argument Ethan was trying to use was unbelievable. Yeah. And the reality of the matter is, no matter what happens, you will always have an upper hand when you just posture towards pre-existing social conditioning. When you say, no, these are bad guys, these are terrorists, anyone who tries to explain what they are doing will still be considered bad and wrong. You're defending terrorism. That's it. And for more people, for a lot of people who don't want to examine the situation critically, because at the end of the day, they still have some unexamined biases living in the Western world, they are always going to look at this and go, well, it is at the end of the day like scary brown guys doing stuff, and I don't kind of like that. And that leads people to this weird expectation. It leads people to this weird expectation that Israel is simultaneously committing a genocide, and maybe even you recognize that there has been an apartheid for 76 years, but you shouldn't do anything against it. You can't do anything against it. And the people that are doing something against it are actually in the wrong. They're always in the wrong, whether it's because their own personal domestic affairs are in the wrong, like they're anti-gay, or there's the pink washing that obviously Zionists engage in, the pink washing of Israel, while also simultaneously saying like, well, these guys are homophobic and bad. And it's like, yeah, these countries have not been able to have civil liberation movements because they've been under fire and under blockade or under control over other colonial powers or other regional actors that are far more powerful than they are, because they're being backed by the most powerful nation on the planet, the United States of America. Yeah, but we'll do that. This was Asmin's main criticism of you. He can't conceive of the idea of kidnapping unrelated people to try to stop a genocide, mainly because he doesn't see Palestinians as human beings. Yeah, of course, like, the guy who
that right. Bret Hart. Hart, can you go? No.
initially was banned for, like 7 days because he said Palestinians are a inferior culture that deserves to be genocided, are going to wait. Hold on. I'm DMing Chris back on TikTok. Yeah, the guy who got banned for 14 days is going to, of course, be resistant inherently to my position. The debate was emotionally exhausting to watch because Ethan reminded me all the times I had to defend myself against a narcissist. I know a lot of people also infer like their own personal hangups or shortcomings or interpersonal experiences that they've had off of this kind of thing. And I think that's ultimately very parasocial on both ends, you know? What about how many times he pulled up a clip that proved your argument or disproved his? See, that's the other side of this. Like, what is shocking about this? What is shocking about many of the instances? I will say this. Here, if you guys want to know, like, two of the areas that I think were, I'll give you what the areas that I think were just like super dominant throughout the entire conversation, and I'll tell you what my biggest L's were. Okay, in terms of the areas where my biggest, I guess, quote unquote W's were. There are, I believe, around 7, if not more, instances where Ethan basically agreed to my position and even went as far as to apologize for things that he has done in the past. So that's fairly significant. Most of it was from the context nuke, and I think that that's not something to just like lightly cast aside, especially considering that this is supposed to be his pivotal work that he put a lot of effort and research into. There's also obviously many concessions he gave, which I think don't make sense when you factor in the way he has behaved in the past 15 months of this ongoing genocide. But there was also a bunch of instances where he basically admitted, yes, yeah, like I was wrong and I smeared you, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know really how to deal with that, but I don't think anybody actually cares on Team Ethan. It didn't come across like Ethan genuinely gave those concessions to you and instead only said it to move on since he kept saying he was bored of you. Yeah, but like there are so many moments where he just like instantly contradicted himself, where he was like, well, I don't Destiny directly. Okay, you talked to his podcast co-host who is engaged in a blackmail operation against people who have like come out against Destiny in his like sex pest case, right? Like, what do you mean? He uses that same community. He's his best friend. That is not like you've worked alongside him on numerous occasions, like, or even with the ADL example, like, or even the CPS call. I was like, dude, you know my position on this. I don't believe the CPS call in and of itself is appropriate. I don't think anyone should be calling CPS on you or anybody for that matter just because they don't like a content creator. But like, can you please explain to me what my role in this is? And he kept, and then he couldn't really tie it back to me in any capacity aside from, well, you a week ago pulled up a snark subreddit. So I said, okay, can you tell me who called CPS on you? And he had nothing. He had to basically admit, and this is a pivotal part of his like victimhood structure, was the fact that my fans had called CPS on him. That's what he had said, right? Like over and over again. And he somehow tried to tie it back to me. And what's interesting about that is he had to basically admit that he had no evidence whatsoever that it was actually coming from my community at all, or even the snark subreddits. So, and that was, oh, by the way, this chatter saying, honestly, your only L was calling Gila, getting him to admit Gila is a terrorist or something. No, the reason why I brought that up was to expose the double standard, to showcase Ethan's Islamophobia, Ethan's racism in this process, because it plays a big role. I don't have the attitude, and I tried to explain to him over and over again, like what Gila had done was a night raid, And the only reason why I know what that looks like, what a night raid looks like, and what the actual express purpose of the Israeli occupying force is in conducting those night raids is because of Breaking the Silence. Breaking the Silence is an Israeli philanthropic organization, an Israeli organization that works against the occupation.
Overdrive.
Entirely of former.
You know what
Israeli
Langley
occupying force
expects.
veterans.
Get it done.
So, of course, I have interviewed people who have been a part of the Israeli occupying force, as well as actually hold people's social conditioning when they're young against them. I think that would be
You've taken the lead. Stay on task.
the opposite of my worldview. It goes against my worldview. I believe everyone can.
You're falling behind, Crimson.
My frustration was.
More like Seth Rowe gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
Mandatory subscription.
Hostiles reclaimed the lead.
All right,
Even
let's
if he
call
was
this
illegal, I
duty.
would not have an issue with for the record, as I've said over and over again. But I'm really getting to understand the double standard, but it seems like you were just trying to call Hilo a terrorist, I think. Those words, but I guess it gets lost in the conversation when the impact point is getting into
Hostile UAV established overhead.
On the move.
Hassan.
Yeah.
Reloading.
Enemy CUAV inbound.
Yeah. So, ask me how I feel as long as they have learned because I understand as someone who uses
More like Seth Rowe. Come on, that's pretty clever.
I totally understand that. I understand how
All right, let's call this
they
duty.
should recognize that this is wrong, or at least down
We claimed the advantage. Now hold it.
what they did was good, and that still continuously defend the Israeli occupying force. That's my issue.
They've taken the lead.
And for people who call her a terrorist or anything like that, I need you to understand something. I'm talking to an audience of
Gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
consider this to be a genocide because it is, but also the drama aspect of it, revolving around a content creator and his own personal feelings. In order to try to penetrate.
Eyes on structure! Eyes on structure!
That's like, he was like, well, we don't know what they did. We don't know what the person did. And it's like, well, the point is,
Hostiles reclaimed the lead.
so even if that person had like, it doesn't make sense within the logical confines that Ethan has cultivated. It means that, according to international law, settlers are valid military targets.
Let's go!
It is totally justified to raid on a because who knows, maybe they actually military target. Is that like that doesn't make sense. That is an inconsistent.
Over! Sniper smoke! Move, move!
Do you understand? Because if you believe that
Take it still!
You're falling behind, Crimson.
justifiable take against someone.
You almost got him. Good.
We're winning.
Military resistance against a valid you know, that's illegal. The actions of the Palestinian in that situation are illegal. The actions of the about view counts for him in general. People. So that was the talk about one. The mass sexual assault, systematic sexual assault directed at
Watch it, I'm fragile.
On the point about the Nakba being compared to exposing voluntary migration of Jewish people.
Nocturne requesting watchdog hero on
So
my
glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're just carrying me around.
Archangel present fire.
Or I want to go back and understand Ethan's position. One of the points of control.
More like Seth Rogen gun.
Where I have denied that there has not been expulsions in the aftermath of 1948, especially in the aftermath of Nazi. I've talked about as well, over and over and over. But the framework wasn't that there's two problems with these.
Using hands. Taking fire! Deploying RCXD. Enemy rearmed!
Done by one singular ideology, as opposed to the reaction that from surrounding Arab nations cannot be attributed, cannot be compared to one another.
Establish watchdog helo on station above.
Glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're just carrying me around.
I will structure!
Reloading.
They're right where we want them. Finish the job.
Good effect. Send the top up.
More like Seth Rogen gun. That's pretty
I will
good.
structure!
with the surrounding Arab nations in any
Mission goals agreed. Dispatching team to mock up survivors.
Oh, hell yeah. That's how it's done.
see beyond the fact that they were Arabs. He could not see beyond the fact that they were all Arab nations and they were all Arabs that did this. It was the ridiculous. He was reacting. Perspective to drive home that point because he got someone to basically clip from his latest book and his commentary key points that make it seem as though Avi Shlaim's perspective like Arabs were forced to become Zionist is I think a great misunderstanding of a historian that has spent most of his work talking against them. Okay? Like his big point is, you know how there's a double Holocaust or a double genocide theory that a lot of neo-Nazis immediately implemented in the aftermath of World War II? This is known by scholars of history as the double genocide theory, that like the USSR also did a genocide, and actually their genocides were far larger in scale and number, and therefore they are the worst party in World War II. It's a way to try to whitewash and launder the reputation of Germany, Nazi Germany. A similar perspective took place in Ethan's commentary, which is the double Nakba almost. Yeah, here's Spencer Gabb saying, I read the first two chapters of The Three Worlds after the debate. Avi Shlaim literally describes the fallacy of a double Nakba like this. The purpose of this narrative is to create a false symmetry between the fate of the two communities. The narrative is not history, it is propaganda of the victors. Read this excerpt highlighted from the same Avi Shlaim Ethan misquoted. Yeah, this is from Three Worlds, Memoirs of an Arab Jew. And this is from the prologue. It is impossible to make sense of this history without the regional context. Post-1950 Arab Jewish or Mizrahi history, and as such, is
secure the objective.
Regional environment. Zionists are only obsessively interested in the first.
Hardpoint is secure. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
But by propaganda need to.
Damn it, we've lost the lead.
History is thus reduced
call this duty.
for ammunition war against the Palestinians. This trend reached its climax. Least on par.
What's up?
Hardpoint identified.
The fate of the two communities.
Hardpoint active.
Where I have,
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
That there was anti-Semitism that took place, especially in these Arabic countries.
Nice, got the objective.
Even though they previously were under the rule of the empire, for example, they did do that, and that was a big part of this pan-Arabic nationalist movement that created these nation-states. Nation-states whose boundaries were carefully constructed by Western superpowers. Okay, honest history has to acknowledge the part played by all the governments concerned in causing this tragedy. The main difference is that the Palestinian refugees, for the most part,
Enemy field upgrade. Not good.
My book is both a personal record of Holocaust and
Hardpoint is active.
it is a critique of Zionism from the perspective that it is so, like, his pivotal that Ethan was misquoting.
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
The argument that Ethan falsely which is why I said I will have
Net call. Enemy watchdog helo inbound.
to get him on the broadcast to address this with his own okay?
Not good.
All right, let's call this duty.
Hardpoint is Hardpoint active. Hardpoint is secure.
Enemies have destroyed your assault factory.
All right, let's call this duty.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Gun.
Always
Pretty clever.
the importance of agitating
You're planning on giving up. Do it now. If not, get to work.
Let's call this duty.
Hardpoint located. Hardpoint is active. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
Hey, incoming lethal!
Hardpoint locked down.
Existence of trans people, and I try to show
Hey, incoming lethal!
propaganda does not.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Nefarious. I know in America it means nefarious, but it actually does not. In and of itself is just telling a story.
Enemy field upgrade. Not good. Missile incoming!
Hardpoint is secured.
Hey, someone should make a movie about
That's the
this. Or
hardpoint.
even better, someone should make a video game about this. Wait.
Hardpoint active.
All right, let's call
Hostiles
this.
have the hardpoint.
That's the difference between.
Hey, incoming lethal!
Deploying arcade.
Your subback has been destroyed.
More like Seth Rogen gun.
The biases
Come on,
of
that's
major
pretty clever.
institutions actually are. So you develop a better understanding of where they're coming from, what they choose to admit, what they choose to.
Well, you're doing your best.
Anyway,
Whoa,
the
who put me
question
in a
that
gun?
I have for many, if they were to be duped by something like that, where it's like Hassan is nefarious. Hassan is nefariously sheltering his full perspective. Why would I voluntarily reveal that in a
Hardpoint located.
I think the main issue is that you and your is hard to handle by a simple-minded person who shut down immediately aren't listening. All of this still does not justify the
Okay, what are we looking at?
Hardpoint is active.
Yeah, watch it!
And I think
Hardpoint locked down.
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're just carrying me around.
that is a major
Hit rep. Enemy HERs on the
looking for reasons to
hit rep. LDPR incoming. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
More like Seth Rogen gun.
RTB, Black Ops. We need to have a fucking conversation.
invested in the conquest of drama. Everyone is invested in the conquest of like a favorite content creator, or maybe not even their favorite content creator, but like content creators. Me in this phenomenon of neo-Nazis, like active neo-Nazi accounts, singing the praises of Ethan, a Jewish man, right? There were so many out and about neo-Nazi accounts on Twitter that were like, this is destroying the Islamo-Turk, like that. And revolved around him saying that like this, the bleach sword was anti-Semitic, or Frogan's thumbnail was anti-Semitic. Like, these are not conversations that neo-Nazis normally entertain at all. The reason why they were entertaining it was precisely because they like, oh, this is it. This is what I was literally talking about. Literal, actual neo-Nazis handshaking with Ethan Piker coming back from the debate with H3H3. This person's name is Haya Saka Aryan, Kaguya's top gal, a straightforward neo-Nazi, right? Like, does this not ring any alarm bells in Ethan's mind as a person who is Jewish, who has Jewish children, who is seeing the growth of anti-Semitism on the timeline, not realizing that these guys actually are more invested, perhaps for some nefarious purpose, in undermining me and my position here? I wonder what that reason is. I wonder why. I wonder why so many people who will spam W Hitler in chats are on board with what Ethan was saying. I don't think that any of these guys are going to recognize this, though. I think at this point it's because it's so hyper specific to Ethan's own anger, and for guys like this, I don't think this person likes Ethan. I mean, they're a neo-Nazi, right? Like, they probably spot Ethan. Many of the content creators, the drama slop tubers, have apparently Tectone, as soon as he came after me and talked about his father's like military record or whatever, here it is. I'm gonna show you that really quickly. The internet found out that motherfucker's dad did the same shit that he did. He said, I am genuinely considering full swapping to YouTube if this terrorist propaganda isn't punished harshly and immediately on Twitch. My father, my brothers, and our soldiers did not bleed, sacrifice, and die for this bullshit to be allowed and promoted on Twitch. This needs to change immediately. Now, there's much wrong with this because I thought the lie that was told to America is that, you know, soldiers are literally dying to protect the First Amendment, which would fall under a defense of, you know, what I'm saying. And even beyond that. But it turns out, and it's also additionally funny because everyone fucking hates this repulsive little monster, this goddamn ogre, which is precisely why I said, oh no, what will anyone do if the bald pervert leaves the Twitch platform for good? Turns out, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, folks. This is who he was talking about, Tectone. Apparently, this is his dad.
Today, I would like to tell the story of one of the 8% that were prosecuted. The story of Colonel Michael Robertson, who commanded Fort Bliss's 31st Combat Support Hospital at Camp Dwyer, a military base and airfield in the Helmand River Valley in Afghanistan. Last week, Colonel Robertson was convicted by a military judge of 14 charges, including having pornography on his government computer, sexually harassing 3 women, and assaulting 5 women. 8 women that served under his command testified at great cost to their careers and their privacy. Colonel Robertson routinely touched them without permission.
Someone found a photo of him and his father together. I think this was what I saw. Yeah, this is what I saw on the timeline.
The biggest photo you see is of Colonel Michael Robertson. He was convicted of 14 accounts of sexual assault. He only served 90 days in jail and paid a $30,000 fine.
Bro, that is the craziest. I mean, it's not even a milkshake duck style situation because it's like for a milkshake duck to occur, like this needs
Milkshake duck, that's a new one. Where did that term come from?
to be a beloved figure and not a bald himself, right? But what was hilarious about this, situation is like, I didn't know anything about his dad, you know? Literally, where is this reference? You posted, come in with the receipts posted, bro. So where did this reference happen? Do you think this person will change their perspective about this guy? Hokai Impact 3rd, gotta be the best game. Australia, yeah, like what? Why would you invite me? It's so crazy.
Weapons free, people. Lay some hate on them.
Same name, rank, and similar age and tech dogs.
Nice. We're pulling ahead.
Guilty of 14 counts of sexual harassment. That served in the late 80s to early 90s. Anything.
All right. Let's call this duty.
Of Michael Robertson. It's pretty obviously his father-in-law. It's not a surprise considering the history of sexual abuse that runs in the family.
Hostile eliminated.
We had to do it, you know?
So glad
Tactical incoming! Hey, incoming lethal!
More like Seth Rowe gun.
Robertson.
Come on, that's pretty clever.
Vietnam, same Colonel Michael Robertson in the
using lethal.
Asmin's father was a Vietnam invader. Both of you don't have a okay, listen, Asmin's dad is he is a liberal. I don't know. I can't believe it. What did he say about new information that I previously wasn't
and encourage them to testify the harassment occurred daily. Sadly, the military who bravely did the right thing are almost who filed a claim against Robertson said, quote, I don't know doing the right thing. He is going to trust you with the people. Despite repeated warnings, pornography to friends and
Seth Rowe gun.
A lieutenant colonel who was the chief nurse under Robertson's command said his command style split the staff and created a toxic environment. What makes the defense's answer to all these actions, these jokes, and the touching were
Killed that guy.
more outrageous, but
I know I do a lot of stuff.
So what is the punishment
I know I do a lot of stuff, but that was hardcore.
14 counts of assault and harassing his subordinates. He was is he sent to prison for being a predator?
Hell yeah! Oh my god, this game is intense.
Crazy. Like father, like son, I guess.
In the military. Oh, no. Colonel Robertson was ordered to pay a $30,000 fine over 3 months and spent 3 months in prison. When he finishes his sentence, his conviction won't affect Army retirement.
Everything very normal.
Get revenged.
No fear in saying that the likelihood
We've taken control.
The damage was significant.
Your ammo's low.
Means that what he did was probably.
Oh, sure. Shoot the funny man. Real classy.
Okay, especially if you're high-ranking, Vietnam veteran, all this. Oh my God. You gotta.
Whoa, who put me in a gun?
On the fact.
Get revenged.
I noticed that a lot.
Watch out, they got a sniper!
For having the worst time to come in here and chirp. Who is this guy? This guy is the father of this guy.
Using field upgrade. Tactical incoming!
Alright, let's call this duty.
Made personal sexual comments. The X's Times reported. He brought this up, and then Twitter immediately came in and was like, "Dude,
I could probably do this thing all day. I should not have smoked before entering heavy combat, but oh well.
Who put me in a gun?
Threat to the American military. It was a national security concern, it seems." That's crazy.
Killed that guy. What the fuck, man?
Okinawa because the U.S. won't stop protecting races.
Watch it!
Sexual assaulter. You write it on
Nice.
class warfare exemplified and disgusting. Yep. Apparently they had.
There's an enemy shooter! Look out! I am Seth Rogen, motherfuckers! Calling in Score Street. Can we take a break? When do we get orange slices? Hostile fighter. Okay, this is kind of fun. I can do battle. Operator establishing score.
Weapon drop. Switching targets. Remote.
Alright, let's call this duty.
Oh my God. Do I have a? I don't know what it is. I feel like a major anti-rape vibe. Bring a real anti-rape vibe. Really don't like pet and rape. It's crazy. What the?
Send in flashback.
As a sig belt.
That was you reloading.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Gun. Whoa, who put me in a gun?
We got moved.
I didn't even know this dude existed on the earlier today.
More like Seth Rogen gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
Tactical incoming!
Alright, let's call this duty.
That line usually goes. criminal towards his subordinates. He fought for that right.
One of your suspects has been destroyed.
CMIM. Particularly
Crimson's on their heels. Hit them hard.
CEP, ACN. The world's largest trade agreement that includes the United States. All in all, Trump is achieving the unthinkable, bringing East and Southeast Asia
More like
together
Seth
in
Rogen.
an economic bloc
Come
that
on,
seeks to
that's pretty
distance
clever.
itself from America. I don't know if this is just strategy so that other signatories can leverage America for more.
Whoa, who put me in a
Is that
gun?
the case? Or if this is a real shot directly at Trump.
God
Saying,
damn, I love the taste of victory. Hotel Sierra
Alpha,
people.
Tango, battle words.
Who's laughing now?
But we're
Me.
not going to do
Actually,
that.
I
They
laugh
are
a lot.
far too valuable a trade partner for us to sever ties. We will not do that.
Headshot.
Because there is no alternative.
Yeah, watch it.
Rare earth minerals. The refinement process of rare earth minerals is entirely in the hands of China. They have a complete monopoly on production. They almost have a monopoly on production too, with all of the deals that they negotiated with nations in Africa. Okay, but they literally have a complete monopoly on the refinement process. You can't do anything without that. What are you supposed to do? You can't do anything. So why would, like, where is the alternative? Is it in India? Is that going to happen? What is the runway for such a thing? 10 years? 5 years? Ah, yes, Twitter reporting at its finest. Twitter reporting. Brother, I'm looking at the joint statement from ASEAN +3 finance ministers and central bank governors meeting. There is no more a primary source than what we are currently looking at. The f do you mean Twitter reporting at its finest? Hello? Where should I get my news from? Fox News only? Where they tell you that it's
It's new? This is always here. I've never heard Ace mention this.
Please tell me where I should be going to get this information. Come on, raw meat enjoyer. Maybe the raw meat has caused you to develop some brainworms? I don't know. You gonna tell me you have an alternative or what? On Ethan quite frequently and generated tens of millions of views off of on Ethan. Sometimes anti-Semitically on Ethan as well. And why are they now on board with Ethan? Is it because my argument is awful and I am just completely wrong? Is it because they disagree? Is it because they also are on Ethan's side, where they also believe that Israel's committing a genocide, but also all these people need to shut the fuck up about it? No, it's because this is an opportunity for them to try and actively undermine the position of someone who they see as an ideological opponent, and they do not see Ethan as an ideological opponent in this regard. This would be akin to if I were to go out and align myself with the likes of Myron Gaines or with the likes of Sneeko. Okay, that is what this would look like, because Myron Gaines presents himself as being pro-Palestine, but he's a neo-Nazi. This would be akin to if I align myself with Candace Owens and then said, look, Candace Owens, even Candace Owens has found out that Ethan is so stupid or some shit like that. That is what this would look like. If the role reversal here, if Ethan welcoming a lot of these neo-Nazis, a lot of these hateful people that have actually turned their crosshairs on him over and over and over again, if his community doesn't recognize that they're now welcoming these kinds of reactionary sentiments, and that's not ringing any alarm bells for them, it would be akin to me unironically aligning myself with Myron Gaines and Sneeko and Candace Owens, right? Or Dan Bilzerian. These are people with massive audiences, but I don't align myself with them. I actually spend a good deal of time actually on their positions as well. You see what I mean? This is something that I don't think the drama girlies will actually understand it. This is something that I don't think the drama girlies will understand. That is a major issue here. Can I say the Twitter accounts of people I'm seeing defending either under my tweets are filled with these gross anti-black tweets, constant slurs, praise some of the worst creators on the internet, Nazi dog whistles, makes me comfortable with my own stances. Only Lord can help to this now. What? Only Lord can reply to this now? Ethan's allegiance was some of the worst reactionaries online simply because it's so odd. Your sexual assault argument was the worst one to me as a survivor, but I've heard you talk about it, so I know where you're coming from. It did sound like you relied on court cases for sexual assault, which is ass, but watching your previous VODs, I know where you stand. No, I'm gonna get to that in a second as well. Because if you noticed, he did something very nefarious there. He basically, I'll get to that, hold on. But the short and sweet of it on that one was the shocking display of disingenuousness from Ethan on that part, where he said that I was denying the atrocity propaganda that Israel has committed when saying that Hamas-directed systematic rape took place, mass rapes took place on October 7. This is atrocity propaganda that is not new. This has happened throughout all kinds of settler colonial conquest. This is what the American settlers said about the indigenous population, right? This is what the Klan said about black people. This is always like you have to dehumanize your opponent in order to justify to the rest of the people that like the violence that you are going to subject them to is totally permissible. They're savages. They're barbaric, rapist savages. It is a trope for a particular reason. It is unironically the weaponization of sexual assault. The reason why I also found it particularly gross was because he demonstrated that he didn't even care about what I was saying, or he didn't even care about what anyone was saying in that regard. Simply was just like, oh, you're going to speak over this victim? You're going to speak over this victim? When in fact, the video that he showed of me prior to the victim speaking out was literally me recognizing said victim. There's never been a moment where I've said that there was no rapes that took place, that especially after October 7. I've always maintained the position that there is a likelihood that sexual assaults might have happened on October 7. But the problem here is that Israel has actually destroyed the evidence and made it impossible. And his counter to that was, oh, out of the dignity for the victims, there was no time for forensic examination. And that's ridiculous because you want justice to be served for the victims. That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying like it's not rape unless it's like
domination.
MTC
is live. Assume all contacts are hostile.
My
capture this objective.
Circumstantial evidence. The circumstantial evidence in this
control zone C.
You see in
oh, these guns are so bad. Yeah, watch it.
Bravo is on.
Maybe the higher I get, the
pulling ahead.
There's an enemy shooter.
Come on. Whoa, put me in a gun.
Take it, Alpha.
When you saw these gruesome images. October 7th. This person has been raped.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
The ones that
that's pretty clever.
Actually killed. Going beyond circumstantial evidence in terms of like
using lethal.
Okay, especially
watch it.
Sorry, bud, you're doing your best.
Charlie.
Hell yeah! Oh, God, this game is intense. Hey, what the fuck? Where's the ref?
Is a systematic, full
enemy
Charlie.
their lives in the Gaza Strip with significantly more sophisticated.
Oh, I see you.
Charlie. Charlie secured.
Ethan realizing this, like weaponizing sexual assault, it was so.
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're just carrying me around.
Especially considering if there's something that I'm oblivious to in terms of all of the reading I've done on the mass systematized murder conducted by
hostile sighted. Wow, I am way too late for this right now.
Alpha secure. Taylor, we got a move. Marking down Bravo. Losing A. Oh, objectives locked down. Hold those SOBs back.
In the video that he showed prior to that,
Off day.
claimed that she actually had been
So glad I
sexually
don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're just carrying me around. Got the objective.
present this as like me denying
They're taking
rape.
C.
I was talking about a total.
We're losing Charlie.
Tactical incoming!
People do. There's never been a moment where I've something that I do not know from all of the things that matter. And yet, he actually didn't bring forward
They're getting caps. Hold them back.
with the exception of
More like Seth Rogen gun.
testimony of someone who
That's
I
pretty
had
clever.
also recognized.
Securing Alpha.
And the secondary position that I have...
Adder requesting LBBR. We lost C.
Enemies have destroyed your assault bag.
Got the objective.
Securing Zone A. Zone Alpha captured.
All right.
Location secure. Maintain current posture. We're losing Alpha. We've lost Alpha.
Completely unacceptable.
Enemy is down.
Acceptable. If you don't mind, I have a clarifying question.
Losing Bravo. Take it out.
More like Seth Rogen gun.
Can be manipulated in the
That's pretty
aftermath.
clever.
That is the real
Securing
reason.
B.
That's why they went on a full court press on live shoot fails and all these other stuff.
Objective. Taking Bravo underway. C locked down. Adler authorizing Hellstorm deploy. We're losing Charlie. Someone find that fucking traitor. They're taking C.
Put me in a gun.
Enemy CUAV inbound. Losing B. Bravo lost.
Capturing the objective. I am too old to be playing these
Securing
fucking
Alpha.
games.
Bravo zone secure.
I see you.
Send me a care package.
Losing Bravo.
People's consciousness.
All right. Let's call this duty.
In the aftermath of that segment, he openly recognized that
Nice. Got the objective.
Hostile sighted. Okay, this is kind of fun.
Run in here. You're just carrying me around.
Hey, incoming rifle!
Losing B.
Yeah, we definitely don't have this stuff today.
didn't use any clips to prove he's a liar when he recorded it. You can make it up when you respond. Anything I can do in terms of clips.
Attack on.
More like Seth Rogen gun. Come on.
Losing Bravo. We're losing Charlie.
Got the
Coming lethal!
Glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you.
That he was trying to make.
When I got cocky, didn't ya?
On October 7th, and
Move
there
her here.
come out.
That's 5 kills.
Not been,
All right.
from what I
Let's
have
call
seen,
this duty.
Enemy shooter!
Losing B.
Yeah, exactly.
You almost got him. Good.
Watch it!
Because I think it's important. If you were
Lost B.
I think something very nefarious took place.
Capturing the Can we take a break? When do we get orange? I'm here to answer the calls of duties. Call of duty. Calls of...
Whatever it takes.
B secured. We're losing Charlie.
All of this stuff.
Securing Zone A.
Capturing this objective. Calling in sports.
All locations secured. Hold your position. We're taking C.
Operator establishing score.
Finish lines in sight. Don't let up.
Targets in range. Hellstorm drop. Priority task request. UAV exiting AO. Looks like you got all of them. SKIA.
That took place on October
We're losing Charlie. We're losing Alpha. Hang
Maybe
on.
I should
Let me
not
call
have spoken
Langley.
before
Give him the
entering
good news.
combat. But oh well.
There's a high likelihood of rapes taking place, not systematized, but rapes taking place on
Anytime, any place, asshole.
another chatter saying there's a likelihood that taking place on October 7th because all conflict. Okay? Having said that, Israel refused any sort of real investigation to take place, and the investigations that came a year after the fact showed or disproved a lot of the initial narratives that they ran with. And that was the issue. Okay? Because the real reason why that happened was because atrocity propaganda to justify the genocide. Why did you not put a song saying Palestinian women don't face sexual violence? Wait, I did bring that up. Anyway, and for the record, like, the reason why I brought up the 40 beheaded babies and flame babies in their crib stuff is because Ethan and Gila have brought that up far after it was already it was officially recognized as propaganda that did not take place.
They went on a mission to kill as many people they can, no matter who it is, slaughter as many people as they could until they were stopped.
The mission was to kill civilians.
Yeah.
You can see their war plans. They went specifically to Kibbutzim to kill the inhabitants there. Those are not military compounds.
They flamed cribs with babies in them on fire. So like,
come on, what are we talking about?
They went on a mission.
Yeah, like lit babies on fire and stuff. Like, that's not real. That's just like, why is that still happening? You know what I mean? Why are people still saying that? This is supposed to be an anti-genocide broadcast. Like, do you see what I mean? This doesn't make sense with the attitude that Ethan demonstrated yesterday, or at least like some of the things that he said yesterday.
More first-hand accounts. There's even a person that survived the Nova disaster. They managed to survive it, and then I think maybe a year later or a few months later, they ended up committed suicide because they couldn't bear to live having seen what they saw on that day.
Is there more than one person that committed suicide?
It might be more. For some reason, I don't know the exact number. I know there's for sure one that I know for sure, but there might be more. And I mean, the kind of stuff that they saw was like rape, gang rape,
mutilation, torture.
Yeah. So they had to witness that and could not bear.
Yeah. So this is like
they weren't first.
This is Gila Klein claiming that a No Festival survivor saw rape and gang rape killed themselves because they couldn't deal with the trauma. She cites this as a part of her regurgitation of the genocidal atrocity propaganda, saying there's so much evidence for it. She's referring to a suicide letter that was posted online claiming this over 6 months ago, which has been debunked as a hoax by Israeli reporters a day after it came out. Even Hen Mazik and other Zionist propagandists who shared this initial report were forced to retract it 6 months after the fact that this suicide letter was revealed to be a hoax and was retracted by Israeli media. Hila is still using it as a point in her commentary to justify all the things that unfolded. This is what I mean. Here it is. This is Adam Shafir. A story that ran in recent days about a Nova survivor who saw horrors and committed suicide did not leave a single dry eye. After trying to reach the family to tell their story, the search turned into an investigation. We will reveal tonight in the tube that it is a complete fake. It is not clear what brings people to invent like this, but to cheapen the real plight of survivors and to play with the souls of others is simply disgusting. Do you understand? Like, this is a real weaponization of trauma. This is a real weaponization of fabricated stories. There are plenty of people who then also apologized. There are plenty of people who literally apologized and retracted their story with the suicide letter. But 6 months after the fact, she was still saying it. She was still repeating it. Okay? Remember, even just yesterday, a lot of the pro-Israeli outlets, what did they do here in the United States of America? What did they do? They claimed that Mohsen Mahdawi was actually a terrorist. Mohsen Mahdawi, the student activist, who is a pacifist that was recently released from a detention facility in Vermont after being detained during a naturalization ceremony for the quote-unquote crime of being pro-Palestine and a student activist. What did New York Post and all these other propaganda rags put out about him? They literally clipped nefariously a court case, an accusation in a court case about him going up to random people and saying how much he wanted to kill Jews with an automatic rifle. There was an FBI investigation that was conducted into it, and the investigation actually revealed that this
We've claimed the advantage. Now hold it.
Fucking made up bullshit, and yet they clipped the part that the FBI they ran with it regardless. It's just lying. So, for the record, with Amit Sosana and her testimony, this is where I squirrel because I'm in the weeds here. Because their perspective on this is that she never said it was rape. She said it was sexual assault. I don't care. I don't care to make a distinction between the two.
Whoa,
okay?
put me in a gun.
You can get mad at me if you want, but I do think that it's valid to take her testimony as it is, even if she has changed it throughout this time. Okay? It's not a distinction that is important.
We've taken the lead. Stay on task.
It's also something that I've actually recognized over and over again. Now,
all right, let's call this duty.
The other side of this was the Zach that was used in the Sheryl Sandberg documentary. Were known to be fabulous. They were known by the Israeli media once again to have lied. Okay? Look carefully how Sandberg was trying to. So that's the other side of this. One of the, I believe, one of the parts of the Sheryl Sandberg documentary.
Let's call this duty.
Bodies, I know, they lied, they posed bodies, they actually disrupted any sort of investigation. It was a major
nice! So glad
I've seen you process without getting caught up in response. I being in a larger audience and allow for some drama to keep the entertained and learn something for the sake of No, I don't think you will.
Not anymore.
I participated in if you think that I it was simply because I wanted to there are secondhand accounts that have been discounted at this point or are proven to be authorities. I can't work with
Body blast trap!
Requesting recon above!
All right.
Which is the opposite.
Let's call this.
Because the bodies are moving.
Get out, Jack!
Send it.
Extreme version of this is what Rabbi Shmuley was saying. Moves off of Israeli.
Don't worry, bud. You're doing your best.
Itself obviously discounts the veracity of it. I mean, I don't think that's a fake news. Hassan is a buy. That is like the most credible reporting on a direct sexual assault. I think you can just point out the lack of evidence for system and why you are disputing these claims. The scale of sexual violence was or wasn't productive to cases disproving one or the other. Absolutely.
Enemy attack!
Like systematic rapes.
Enemy deleted! Requesting recon above!
More like Seth Rogen gun.
To the Western world, from their framework,
Hold the line, Crimson. It's yours to lose.
all of the real violence in these barbaric rapist savages trope that settler colonial people who have engaged in settler colonial violence have engaged in the past as well. Black Wall Street, the bombing of Tulsa. If you recall, the bombing of Tulsa revolved around
All units prepare for exfil. This one's on.
Oh, hell yeah! That's how it's done!
Who's laughing now?
and then it was elevated.
Actually, I
That
laugh more.
existed previously. The supremacist stereotype was utilized in the bombing of Tulsa. I think it's important to also carefully through these claims that are being made. And I think Ethan, on the other hand, was incredibly careless in the claims that he was making, especially when he literally found himself in a lie and openly admitted that he was lying about my analysis of the subject matter. But it didn't even matter to him to openly state that he was lying and smearing me, as he did in real time. On this issue, because he knew that ultimately there would be clips that would get pumped all over the fucking timeline to continue the narrative, act like Ethan had actually presented real information. The only information that the only verifiable claim that he put forth was literally a claim that I also had read through and had kept repeating over and over again. Bloody Sunday was a sequence of violent events that took place in Bromberg, a Polish city with a sizable German minority between the 3rd and 4th of September 1939 during the German invasion of Poland. Standing in the path of the German army's advance during the early days of the invasion, tensions quickly escalated in Bromberg between the city's sizable German-speaking minority and its Polish majority. On the 3rd of September, as the Wehrmacht was preparing to assault the city, members of the German minority working in conjunction with the German intelligence agency attacked the Polish garrison. Polish soldiers and civilians reacted with violent reprisals against ethnic Germans, who in turn reacted with more violence. A Polish investigation concluded in 2004 that approximately 40 to 50 Poles between 100 and 300 Germans were killed. The term Bloody Sunday was applied to the events by Nazi propaganda officials who highlighted and exaggerated German casualties. An instruction issued to the press said, "Must show news on the barbarism of Poles against the Germans in Bromberg. The expression Bloody Sunday must enter a permanent term in the dictionary and circumnavigate the globe. For that reason, this term must be continuously underlined." Approximately 200 to 400 Polish hostages were shot in a mass execution in the aftermath of the fall of the city on the 5th of September. Additionally, 50 Polish prisoners of war from Bromberg were accused by Nazi summary courts of taking part in Bloody Sunday and shot. The reprisals compounded violence stemming from the German attempts to pacify the city and the premeditated murder of notable Poles as a part of Operation Tannenberg. As a part of the latter, the Germans murdered 1,200 to 3,000 Polish civilians in Bromberg in a part of the city that became known as the Valley of Death. That's it.
So Abdul Ayad of the H3 podcast attempted a video response to my video calling him out for him sitting there meekly every single time that Ethan Klein spreads propaganda advocating for the genocide of Palestinians, which in his recent debate with Hassan Piker led to him claiming that the Nakba, the Israeli genocide of the Palestinian people in 1948, was to blame not on the Israeli Jewish supremacist Zionists who carried it out, but rather on what Ethan called the f***ing Arabs. Ayad has not addressed this. In fact, a day after Ethan said that, he made a video in which he said that Arabs who criticize him for his silence during these moments are barbaric. And now, a day later, he's made another video, not to criticize his employer for blaming a genocide of an Arabic-speaking people on Arabs rather than the Zionists who carry the genocide out. No, he's very angry at me for calling him out for sitting there in silence while his boss said that. Now, in his purported response, he doesn't actually respond to my video. Literally, he does not show a single second of it, nor respond to it. And when people do that on YouTube, it's intentional. They know they can't respond to you, so they try to make it about everything but what you said, to the point they won't even show their audience what you said. And the reason why they don't do that is because they know that if they did, they would lose by default. He has no defense to the things that I said in that video, so he needs to hide it from his viewers. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to begin by showing you what Abi Ayad intentionally left out. I'm not going to play the whole video, just the pertinent parts. So let me show you the clip here.
900,000 Jews.
Team deathmatch. Realize those shitheads who they're dealing with.
Not by choice. The vast majority of them went to his the Arabs.
There you go.
There you go. What? That's my point.
Demonstration of this.
And I don't know if your audience gets this as well, but what you just said.
Upgrade destroyed.
How do you know that?
Racist.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Blame over
It absolutely was
every single one of these Arab countries.
Absolutely. Who
He would get fired immediately if he showed these. He actually denounced them.
More like
said
Seth
everything
Rowe
bad
gun.
about them.
Come on, that's pretty clever.
Sorry, that's slaves because he's not forced into doing this at all.
Tactical incoming!
Okay, so in this situation, a good test is to take these words and shift them about a little bit. What would Ethan Klein say if someone was to say, someone who doesn't like at least, was to
Hey,
say,
incoming lethal!
Palestinians to become violent, or something like that. And then he kept going on to say, It was the Jews who did it. It was the Jews. It was the blame of the Jews. Because that is absolutely one-to-one now. Saying that's actually accurate. Like uniform expulsion. The Jews. He wants to justify it. By the way, happened before this by claiming that it was merely what was done to them by this collective.
Let's call
and
this
therefore
duty.
legitimize the genocide of Palestinians by Zionists, by expelled the Jews in order to say, well, what do you expect? They did it to them, and all they did was respond to it by enabling this, particularly one particular
Hostile UAV established overhead.
Michigan. He also goes by the screen.
Yeah, watch it!
A on the ER, and he also goes by the nickname AB. This guy himself made an video the day after this event. Does not conform to what the Arab should be, and he so let's check out that out. I want to be clear here on Abdul Ayad's role in this podcast. Abdul is a researcher. Like, his job is to sit there and send articles to Ethan, which Ethan receives on his own little laptop, and then he recites. So whenever you
On the move.
Archangel is hot.
There's a very high chance.
More like Seth Rowe gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
People, and then he sits there in silence as his boss says stuff like, as his boss just spouts his very propaganda. He's not opposing at all.
Whoa, put me in a gun.
But what he does have is a lot of heat for what he sees as bad Arabs, not good Arabs like himself.
On the move.
Says and does. Palestinians. Check this out.
Doing a good job. I'm sure Zionists love you. I'm sure they love you. Every fucking person on the internet, every person in the world wants to prove that we're nothing but.
All right,
So that is.
let's call this duty.
Zionist standards of.
No medals for second place. Crush those dirtbags.
On the move.
Or at least on the other side of the world. Okay, I think I've shown. And
More like
let's see if
Seth Rowe.
Adderall deals with anything
Come on,
that I said
that's
here
pretty clever.
in a substantive manner, let alone actually shows what I said to his audience so that they know. Responding to
Perfect execution. The Pantheon's probably pissing
Hey,
themselves
when do
right
I get to
now.
drive a tank? Is that a thing?
His role is researcher, and I didn't know this until recently, but the way that he got involved in the H3 podcast in the first place was absurdly pathetic. Like, he was like a teenager, and he would make YouTube videos defending them in drama, like defending them as a parasocial superstar. Wow, this guy is like totally obsessed with me. I want to hire him. And that has been his life ever since. He got hired specifically for sucking up to them endlessly. As a teenager, no less. Like, this was his first ever job, if you can even call it that. You know, he has no qualifications, no skills, no nothing. He got hired to be a professional suck-up. And that is so absurdly pathetic. But apart from that, you might ask, what is his role here? You know, this is skills, nothing. His title is researcher, supposedly. And what that means is his job is to feed Ethan Klein talking points, both about the topics that he talks about and the people who Ethan Klein slanders and defames. So not only does he feed Ethan Klein Zionist propaganda, it's literally his job to do so, but he also feeds Ethan Klein defamation. Ethan Klein constantly defames people on his podcast. And when that happens, in many cases, it is because A.B. Ayad sent that to him. For example, my first interaction with Ethan Klein was him attempting to defame me as a child sex criminal. And it's extremely likely that the way that Ethan Klein got that is that his researcher, whose literal job it is to find defamation and dirt on the people who he's feuding with, rather than actually responding to their points, found it and sent it to him. Here is Ethan Klein holding up a defamatory fake tweet made by a Zionist mass harassment organization to accuse me of child sexual abuse. This fake tweet and the doxing and harassment campaign that came with it resulted in people showing up to where I thought I lived in an attempt to kill me. What happened? As a result of ABR's research into me, Ethan Klein saw that I was making videos debunking his disgusting Zionist propaganda. He asked in their little group chat they have, "Hey AB, you got any dirt on this guy?" AB Googles me, he finds this, he sends it to Ethan, and that resulted in this.
He's like actually psychotic, and he's been making a lot of hate videos about me and calling Ela a terrorist and baby killer and all this. And Hassan's been enjoying his videos. Here's a tweet from him. You guys will enjoy this. It says, "Oh, Hamas raped a bunch of babies and kids now? Where's the video evidence of it? I was looking to jerk off anyway." You think I'm kidding? That's a real tweet.
I mean, just look at this doctored photo. Just look. Are you think I'm kidding?
Happened. Here is a clip of Ethan Klein attempting to defame Hassan Piker as a date rapist. This almost certainly came from their group chat in which AB feeds him this sort of information, and Ethan Klein just offhandedly said,
"Overdrive!
Bro is straight up
Teach those pathetic crimson bastards a lesson."
Hey,
All right, let's call this duty.
Where do you think you bought that from? Basically, if you've been defamed, insulted,
More like Seth Rowe gun.
Hey!
on this podcast that is dedicated to doxing, harassment, and defamation. There's nothing else you can do in this role as a researcher aside from that.
All right, let's call this duty.
Kavanaugh's defamation lawsuit. He lost 2 anti-SLAPP appeals and a final injunction in the like from going forward. So soon they're going to have to, as a part of the trial is going to be a discovery process, and as part of the discovery process, just suing but also suing Teddy Fresh.
So look, there's stuff to run in here. That's all you. You just carry me around.
I could probably turn this thing into a bomb.
Whoa, put me in a gun.
Talking points to attack this person. Up about him.
On the move.
So mark my words here. How these guys conduct themselves.
Let's call this.
Yo, bro. I know this is a serious subject right now, but I just had to bring attention to the fact that I'm earning Blaze bucks right now, bro. Fucking biggity, fat, cold hard Blaze bucks. Back to the depressing shit.
Enemy UAV inbound.
Seth Rowe gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
Refute a single thing that I actually
Put me in a gun. All right,
making fun
let's
of my
call
friends.
this
And
duty.
his response to me was not to actually respond to anything I say. West Arab. I am not fucking kidding you. He's admitted.
Whoa, put me in a gun.
And his reaction to it was to
Hey, incoming lethal!
UAV established above.
Tactical incoming!
All right, let's call this duty.
There's something called to be done right here.
I mean, you get the point.
There's an enemy shooter!
Hostile UAV established overhead.
Friendly. West Arab.
Your suspect is destroyed.
Put me in a gun.
It's time.
You're doing your best.
Using lethal.
A joke.
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you.
Incoming lethal! Incoming lethal!
Backup's not coming. You want to get out of this alive? Better step up.
Let's call this.
Oh, he's just a big fat pussy. Dude, you're the biggest thing in the world. Your job is to sit there and
Upgrade. Destroyed.
you're the most defended man in the whole world. Like, you're a master.
Hey, actually, do you guys know about
Put me in a gun.
Guess I chose the wrong people for the job. My
I'm
bad.
not made for this. I do ceramics.
Who does whatever he wants. He harasses people, and he.
He's not going to show any evidence.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
Where he
Come on, that's pretty clever. You're doing your best.
Using lethal. Incoming lethal!
In defamation against me and against many others. Your role is to help Ethan find defamation. Your role is specifically that. So proportionate retaliation against you would be to do precisely what you help Ethan do to others. And I want to let people know that specifically. Open the floodgates.
And not deal with any type of repercussions. All right, bud. You want to go to mommy? Say bye to Rocco. I don't want to talk too much shit while he's here.
Just to be clear, Ethan Klein sexually harassed this mother live on stream. I'm not going to show you the clip, but Ethan Klein literally like came live on stream while he sat there meekly. So I just remember that because he brought up the word mommy. It's pathetic. It's also worrying the position this guy is in. Like for him, he became obsessed with this podcast as a child, basically. And it's been his entire life. And now he considers himself a part of their family. And that's like such an important part of his identity that he could not imagine himself without them. It's sad.
Say bye. Okay, so yeah, this was the message I woke up to. It says, ABI called anti-genocide Arabs barbaric Arabs in his new video on his channel.
Yeah, you
blah,
did.
Blah, 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 blah. AB, you will now be dealt with directly rather than peripherally.
Blah, 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 blah. You notice how he edited that out? I wonder why he edited it out. Let's show you. I'll show you what it said. Blah, 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 blah. He's not allowed to acknowledge this. He's not allowed to acknowledge what his boss said. ABAR called anti-genocide Arabs barbaric Arabs in a new video on his channel Starkiller. Just one day after he sat there obediently in silence as his Zionist boss Ethan Klein went in a drug-fueled rant where he screamed out fucking Arabs for 2 entire minutes. Why did you not say that part? Why did you cover it intentionally in the story? And then you don't even read it in your response video. You're not responding to me. You can't respond when you don't tell people what you're responding to.
Deathmatch.
His fans this.
Neutralize all threats.
If you mention that Ethan Klein
I found by this.
Got the lead.
Hey,
Now
why
hold.
don't you make a movie about this? Or even better, make a video game about it. Oh!
This
wait.
shit ain't working. We've lost the
No.
advantage.
I say you dumbass. You're nothing.
Call this
Given that he
duty.
felt the need to respond to about 10 instances.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
Oh, I see you!
Silent. And you know the video? You know who brought you
Cha-ching.
It
Whoa,
hurts you
put
to
me
know
in a
that you
gun.
can't respond to me. So let it all out. Vent. Throw out meaningless
Hey, don't
insults.
worry, bud. You're doing your
You can't
best.
insult anyone. More pathetic than Ethan himself. Whatever
All
comes
right,
out of your mouth.
let's call this duty.
Tactical incoming!
here.
Come on, that's pretty
This
clever.
guy blocked me. Sent him a message. Talk about
Hostile eliminated.
Yeah, watch it!
You were like Darkstar harass. You notice how they never provide any evidence of it. Here he does. Darkstar harass people. Yeah.
We're taking control.
Operator establishing score streak.
You've fallen behind.
Using field upgrade.
Enemy RTXD detected.
When have I done that? Provide evidence of that?
Calling in score
You're
streak.
doing that right now. You're playing the victim. You're claiming you're the victim of harassment when you're being. You're just describing me.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
People, none of
Operator establishing score streak. There's an enemy shooter! Enemy field upgrade. Not good. Enemy field upgrade. Not good.
Hostile RCXD in your AO.
Obsessed with you guys when you only have 50k subs.
Heads up. Hostile back him down. Enemy inbound.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
Hey, it's
Public facing account.
Whoa, put me in a gun.
You want to be strong entry.
Enemy RTXD detected. Look alive. Hostile since return active.
I'm glad that phase is behind you.
This is a weird career pivot for me.
David.
Get revenge.
See if I know.
Hostile UAV established overhead.
More like Seth Rowe gun. Whoa, put me in a gun. Reloading. All right, let's call this. More like Seth Rowe gun.
The projection
Come on,
is
that's pretty clever.
the charts.
Let me show you what I said.
Every single thing that he's saying is easy.
Enemy field upgrade. Not good.
Instead of responding to the video.
All right,
Who the fuck are you?
let's
little
call
shit?
this duty.
Who the fuck are you, you little shit? He's acting like this hasn't gotten to
Enemy
you
care package
when you're
above.
making a whole video about it.
Enemy field upgrade. Not good.
Hostile eliminated.
Enemy UAV inbound. Hostile RCXD in your AO.
House is covered in dog shit.
Jobs like this are. In the video, I showed you how much nasty shit Mel said about me.
That was you reloading.
Blood? Nobody told me there would be blood.
Who actually defends Palestine. He gives the Zionists Arab, and that they will use him.
Gun.
He's saying that you made it clear.
That's pretty clever.
Resistance trying to be a
Hey, incoming lethal!
All right, let's call this duty.
And your response to someone who is more pro-Palestine than you, who calls you out for your bullshit, was to accuse them of.
I probably should not be operating heavy machinery right now.
It's.
You gonna let a asshole beat you? Fight back!
That's why.
They're the CIA. You think they were just gonna let you walk all over them?
Are you trying to shoot me? Oh, wait. I guess you are.
Than the actual genocide. Given that you just sit there.
Incoming stun. Sniper's down. Move up.
You sit there and you're paid not just to be silent, but you're paid to be silent and sending defamation on pro-Palestine people. The only person silencing you is Ethan Klein with the dollars that he sends you. A little bit of introspection would be very good.
For people in the audience to see.
Like specifically the thing that you're being is your silence. What do you get off saying? Someone's trying to silence me. And now he's just sitting, look at these, all these many messages that I get from people who definitely exist, who tell me how epic and right I am. You know, the silent majority supports me, guys. Now, I know for a fact that this guy has blocked basically every Palestinian who's ever responded to him on Twitter or on Instagram. When someone criticizes him for his enabling of the Palestinian genocide currently happening.
Hey, welcome to Blaze of Glory, the only game where you win high and get big. Wait, did I say that right? You are on another level, man. You ready to see your reward? There you go. Oh, shit. Say goodbye to paranoia and lock yourself in the hotbox with our brand new automated home security system. Still here? Dude, that is awesome.
By Ethan he passed immediately. So how fucking dare this guy invoke likely fake messages from like 2 or 3 fucking people as evidence that he is supposedly a good Arab and that this other Arab who supports Palestine more than him is actually a barbarian. For not abiding to Zionist standards of what an Arab should be, according to this guy who got plastic surgery to look less Arab.
I get from friends and family on the daily. People who actually have family in the Middle East, people who actually lost people who actually care. This person, I said, I just watched your YouTube video. It was well said. I love how these people just want you to raise hell without thinking and quit your job because they aren't in your position. They're so...
By the way, you notice how I watch every single second of his video and he literally does not show his viewers a single second of mine. Just pointing that out.
Even willing to roll the dice when they're gambling with your chips. Actually, I got another one from my uncle, which was very sweet. He is probably...
My own family member said good things about me. Dude, this is pathetic. What even is this? Why aren't you responding to what we actually said about you? Why are you just telling us how your family supports you?
Simple. Stop giving the opposition ammo.
So these trolls can be... Stop giving the opposition ammo? You work for the opposition. What are you talking about? Your job is to give him ammo. This is actually painful. These trolls can be disappointed with. I'm not disappointed with you. I don't expect anything from you. they can criticize me. But the moment they twist shit like this, no one twisted anything. We cited facts about what you say and do. Or more accurately, what you don't say or do. Because you sit there, you send Zionist propaganda to Ethan Klein, and then he advocates for genocide in your presence, and you do nothing. He openly screams about the fucking Arabs right next to you, and you don't say anything. How dare you play the victim here? That use as examples to try and show we pro-Palestinians cannot be reasonable? What the fuck does that mean? Why would you want to abide by the standards of the people genociding fucking Palestinians? To them, Palestinian existence is unreasonable, and your talking point is all that we need to do is try to be more palatable to the people doing the genocide, and then surely the genocide will stop. That's really your talking point? Let me give you an analogy here. One that dumb people like you usually need to be made because you don't know about anything except Nazism, and even then you don't really know much about it. So I hate having to make these like World War II analogies every single time, but it's unfortunately needed because Americans just don't know anything about the world aside from the Holocaust happened and the Nazis existed, and then like America became the freedom country. That's that narrative. So here, can you imagine a Jew saying in 1938, guys, you need to stop being bad Jews. The Germans are using you as examples that us Jews cannot be reasonable. Stop giving them ammo. Isn't that a ridiculous fucking thing? Like, those people want you dead. Those people are 3 years away from throwing you into death camps with industrial extermination, and you're talking about how you just need to like appeal to their good side and show how reasonable and good you are, aka like how close to whiteness you are, which is what ABAR is saying here. Isn't that just a ludicrous?
I gotta put something on a little less serious, I think. No. Is this for real?
What is the benefit of starting a podcast and doing these interviews when you will surely be going to prison next week?
Oh, I'm going to prison next week?
Or the following weeks?
I'm going to prison in the following 2 weeks.
Hopefully you'll be in jail in the next year.
Absolute terms, right? You said surely you will be going to prison.
Yeah, like 99.9 plus 0.1%.
That means 100.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think?
I have nothing to answer to you if you're so sure.
Are you a betting gay? I don't want to call you a betting man. I feel like that would be insulting to us, man.
Why?
All right, so disgraced New York Congressman and convicted felon George Santos was just on Matan podcast. And Matan had him on just in time because right after this podcast, he was sentenced to 7 years in prison for wire fraud and identity theft. So George spent one of his last few days as a free man getting trolled and mocked by a 17-year-old for being a liar who's going to jail. So this was a great guest from Matan, and I can't believe George agreed to do this. I don't know what he thought would happen here. Like, he said he's watched the show before, so I don't know how he expected this to go. I mean, he must just be desperate for any kind of attention.
George Santos is a lunatic.
So there's a chance that he thought that somehow this would go well for him. I mean, he also thought somehow he could basically lie about his whole life and never get caught. So he doesn't really seem to think through this stuff very much because some of the stuff he lied about, people were guaranteed to figure out.
George Santos Anthony Devolver is the perfect example of why fake team dog. Never fake it, just make it.
Eventually, I mean, it's kind of crazy he made it as far as he did, but it obviously was going to come crashing down at some point. I mean, he lied about what colleges he went to and where he worked, which is pretty easy to prove. And he also claimed to be a volleyball star in college, which is just hilarious. So then once people found out he was lying about that, obviously they looked into him more, and almost everything he says is a lie. And some of my favorites are he claimed to be Jewish and would always talk about how proud he is of his Jewish heritage. But then he got exposed. So after he claimed he never actually said he was Jewish, he said he was Jew-ish. He also claimed his grandma died in the Holocaust, and his mom died in 9/11, and his niece was kidnapped by the Chinese government. So he's a pathological liar that will just lie about anything. I mean, he also claimed to have been on Hannah Montana and The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and he was in a movie apparently with Uma Thurman, which didn't even exist, and some other stuff. I don't know why you'd even want to make this up. You know, he took credit for producing the Spider-Man play on Broadway. That was a complete disaster. It was a huge flop, and one of the actors got seriously injured in it. And George claimed to have met Jeffrey Epstein, too. So he's just a lunatic. I mean, he also allegedly spent campaign funds on Botox and OnlyFans subscriptions. And he was accused of stealing money from a GoFundMe he set up for a homeless veteran whose dog needed surgery to have a tumor removed. Apparently they raised $3,000, but the veteran never got the money and his dog unfortunately died. So George is just out of control, but thankfully he's still delusional, and he thought going on this podcast would help him because this ended up being a great episode. And then afterwards, Matan went on his podcast and it got even crazier.
Give me my glasses.
I wanted to steal it, like you stole the money from that guy with the dog.
I stole no money from a person with a dog. Put my glasses back.
You killed his dog.
I did not steal money.
I will put your glasses back because I don't know what will be the consequences of physically stealing from a former politician who's going to jail.
Hard point. Go time. Capture the objective.
There's an enemy shooter!
Have the hard point. Hard point is secure.
Hey, it's coming lethal!
You guys trying to shooting thing?
Eyes on enemy Molotov!
Semtex front!
Should they teach about you in school as an example of how not to act? Consider everything you've done in the upcoming time in jail.
Hostiles have captured the hard point. Hard point locked down.
Wouldn't it save everybody's time?
Hostiles have the hard point.
Go ahead, do it.
I know you're like a politician, so I don't know.
Hard point is secure.
That was comedic. Pretty much all right.
Yeah. The duty of the young people. Hey, that's
hard point locked down.
Baby, the high.
Hey, incoming lethal! Hey, incoming lethal! Hey, incoming lethal!
Calling in score.
Establish watchdog kilo overhead. Hard point located. Hard point is active. Hostiles have captured the hard point.
Aguinaldo calling.
Positive.
Hard point is secure. Hostiles have the hard point.
two comments.
Calling in front feet.
Hey, incoming lethal!
I will be talking about it on my
Hard point locked down. Hostiles have captured the hard point. Hard point active. Hard point is secure.
Attack on. Launch counter UAV.
Operator establishing squad peak. Hostiles have the hard point.
Yeah, watch it!
Hard point locked down.
Incoming lethal.
Dad always taught us to make good on our debts.
Hard point located. Hard point is active. Hard point is secure.
Nice, got me.
captured the hard point. Archangel making noise. Hard point locked down.
Maybe I should not have smoked before entering heavy combat, but oh well.
I'm not scared of you either.
Hostiles on the hard point.
Using lethal.
Hard point is secure.
We're like Seth real good.
Enemy field upgrade. Not good. Upgrade destroyed.
He's gonna get out of the frame.
Yeah, so get out of the frame.
Yeah, watch it. Using lethal. Enemy field upgrade. Hey, incoming lethal.
He was in the wrong.
By the way, I don't mean to
Incoming lethal.
Le premier système was éliminé.
With another comic that was on his
Hard point movement. Captured the hard point. Hard point is active. Hostile UAV established overhead. Hard point locked down.
We are the protectors of the city.
Nice, got the objective. We're like Seth real good.
Oh, sure.
Makes things so much worse.
inferring that a person is trained and you that's not something that
Incoming Semtex.
Put me in a gun.
Hard point.
Yeah, bro, come on.
All right, let's call this duty.
Hard point active.
Hostile sighted.
Hard point is secure. We have the edge, but don't get cocky. This shit ain't over.
let me tell you this. I took that as an insult. You literally
He's never been.
shit, sniper working.
Let's capture the hard point. Enemy UAV inbound.
Just hate metallic.
Hard point movement.
Hostile down.
About how his career is gonna fail. Like he says his shtick is gonna get old and he needs to start acting normal. You know, it's ridiculous.
Hard point check.
He's trying to tell
Hard
somebody.
point locked down.
Hey, actually,
That's right, you. The CIA's nothing without us.
So I know a thing or two about making an ass out of myself to draw attention. You're becoming a mini ass. I don't think people. Pathetic accent.
The congressman, the worst one ever.
That's not true. Not even
expelled
on
from Congress.
I will say this to you. Do you know what? As a former politician, I do know. I know a lot of people in a lot of places, and I'm probably the last person you really want to piss off. No, I'm just reminding you that.
I'm trying to be real calm and collected. I even apologized to my loud person there.
Yeah, and lastly, I think as an adult, I'm going to give you some advice. Obviously, your shtick is your shtick. You do what you think is good for you. I think that you're going to fizzle out and burn because it's exhausting. People are not going to want to work with you, and you're going to slowly see that your shtick is going to cost you. Going to ice yourself out of this entire industry.
I don't think I'm playing a character.
You have had such an opportunity to do something big. Do the character when the camera's rolling. When it goes off, act like a fucking human being.
What did I do when I saw you?
You look mental. You behave mental.
No, I don't.
You guys have this like insanely bad energy about you.
Good energy.
It's awful.
We like to steal stuff, but we don't.
It's awful energy. Thanks for coming on. This was great, and we look forward to seeing.
Will you give me a fist bump?
You have spit on your hand, spittle on your hand.
You
just licked ice.
You just gotta go.
You licked ice.
Like you guys don't like me?
Bye, Matan.
That's very disappointing. Well, I guess thanks for having me on.
Do you think you were likable?
I wasn't trying to be with you guys, no. Okay. So I think I got my.
So then you have
the
your
right
answer.
impression.
That was great. You did a great.
I did a good job.
You were a great jackass.
Yes.
Good job.
I wasn't trying to be a jackass to the audience.
I can't.
Just to you guys.
Yeah.
And after Matan leaves, George's co-host acts like George got to him and broke him. It's crazy. And then she rants about how people use Matan for likes and views. Like, that's not what they're trying to do. I mean, Matan said that George reached out to him, and they know what his show's like. They know what he's like. So I don't know what they're expecting.
What a waste. Jackass.
You broke him. You broke that kid. You did.
That kid was just. Did we get anything?
You broke him.
Was that even an interview?
It was not an interview.
Like, what was that?
I don't fucking know.
In my entire life, and look.
You comedians, you famous folks out there that go on this young man, this kid's show, you're using him for likes and views. You yourself don't see the longevity, and you're not teaching him anything. And I know I'm getting too serious right now. I'm going off on a tangent, but you did just try.
What a colossal zoo this was. The entire team, like if you look around the studio, folks, if you were here, the studio is like dead silent. The entire production crew is just like, dude, it looks like somebody died. We have a pretty diverse group here. We have Zers in our team here.
Who is the young? Like, what's the youngest?
No, what I'm saying here in our office right now, we have Gen Zers, and they didn't get it. They're just like confused. Like, what did we just watch?
And I'm sure they think that after every episode of this podcast. And it's ironic they're talking about the longevity and what Matan does, because this was probably their last episode of the show now that George is going to prison. So this was just perfect timing. But let me know what you guys think about it. And if you want more videos like this, if you want to hear about some more insanely cringy podcasts, make sure you check out my Patreon. I cover a lot over there. There's a ton of exclusive content. So if you're a fan, make sure you check it out. It's definitely worth it. I'll put a link in the description.
Donald Trump's polling numbers are in la toilette. I'm just using up all the French before the tariffs come up. I'm stockpiling it.
Okay.
And one of the things that's happening with the Democratic Party, of course, has been this battle between people who feel like the Democrats should do stuff, and instead of sitting by the sideline and letting Trump's numbers just plunge on their own. That there is value in, there's only so much that Democrats can do right now. You can fight against it. You can come out strong against it. You could slow if you're, I don't know, let's say you were in charge of the Democratic caucus in the Senate. Let's say you were ostensibly the Senate minority leader. There's a lot of things you could do to gum up the works. One of the things you could have done too would have been to like not empower the Republicans to pass a continuing resolution, not empower them to basically prevent Congress from exercising its ability to change Trump's tariff structure, so that they would actually have to vote on keeping it alive. I mean, imagine right now if there had to be a vote every, I don't know, couple of weeks on Trump's tariffs. What would Republicans do? Would they vote against the president or would they vote for the president? Would they pay a price? Would that drive Trump crazy? Would that create is that a wedge issue on the Republican side? We will never know because Chuck Schumer insisted that the Democrats vote for the dirty continuing resolution. And now he wants to come out and celebrate as if he was responsible for Donald Trump's plunging...
Face-off kill confirmed. Playtime's over. Let's see what you're made of.
Standing back. Trump
Flashbang incoming!
Incoming crash.
Two statements being
has the lowest 100-day approval rating since they started 80 years ago. The lowest.
trumpeting how Trump's poll is so bad. And then, of course,
what he said.
Wow, I am way too blazed for this right now.
Also,
see you.
This week showed the lowest 100-day approval rating since they started.
Dun 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 dun.
Got one.
Does he know that he's a or is he still trying to fight? So
you know, it may be worse or it may not. It's not, you know, pressure from constituents is a dynamic. And so
Clock's ticking, Black Ops. Close this shit down.
Constitution and run for a third term.
Just every single
Tactical incoming!
CIA's a bunch of proud bastards. They won't forget this.
God, is that blood? Nobody told me there would be blood.
Crypto trading, e-commerce, alpha finance bro.
$10 million contract every 4 months.
By the way, I just a few days ago. Apparently, it just means changing your diet and routine to improve your life. That's obviously a simplified definition. But based on the term they've been using, I thought it was a lot more serious than that.
Biohacking is your ability to reverse engineer life. Bio means life. Hacking through it is your ability to figure out the most optimal
Christ almighty. These fucking douchebags, go away.
This episode real quick because we need to convince ourselves we're doing something fiscally
Push the button, chin and cheek.
sincerely talk to each other. Sorry, dude, I can't. Biohacking. Bro, what? You're biohacking? That's crazy, dude. That's impressive, for real. Yeah, thanks. I know. I'll let you get back to it, okay? You focus up, all right? I'll talk to you later. Okay, see you, bro. This is actually one of the best apples I've ever fucking had. Luke posts a lot of clips of himself on various podcasts saying things I think are meant to be insightful, but usually make no sense.
I think people need to start studying words. You'll get a bank, right? What is a bank?
River bank.
Right. What does the river bank do? It controls the flow. The flow of what? The flow of the current, the currency. If it's controlling the currency, it's also controlling the what? The flow. The flow of what? The cash flow.
He's always talking about his success and how much money he has, so he posts a lot of advice to people wanting to become more like him. Wealthy, cool, charismatic.
Because those things are very helpful. Because
and a lot of his videos are him explaining how we can start making money just like him. So let's go ahead and dive in. That's foreshadowing for later in the video. It'll make sense later. We'll get to that.
mention to me 5 people in your life right now that you give them a phone call and be like, yo, drop me a $250,000 wire. You need those people, right? Because your net worth isn't calculated by the money that you have, but by the access that you have to money.
Here's the secret to being rich, guys. Ask rich people to give you money. Pretend to be their friend so you can use them for personal financial gain. It's a
Face off, team deathmatch. Eliminate the enemy. Take him out.
Trying to shoot me? Oh, wait. I guess you are.
advice he has for making money. works at Dunder Mifflin. When's the last time you took a piece of paper and just appreciated it? When's the last time you ordered 80 boxes of 8x10 and ultra white? Tipping your salesman 40%. Ever heard of it? Ever heard of that? Have you ever heard of that? Have you? And while we're at it, have you ever heard of today's sponsor? This video is sponsored by Midas Merge. Midas Merge is a free to download mobile game that you can play on your phone even if you don't have Wi-Fi. You could play it on a flight, you could play it in the woods, or in a basement with really thick walls. In Midas Merge, you team up with King Midas and Queen Leah after the evil goddess Nyx casts her shadow over the Gardens of Gold. How could she do this? She's so evil. And also, she's hot. Oh no, I hope she doesn't cast her shadow on me. It's up to us to save the Gardens of Gold and restore them to their shining glory by merging items. Merging these sunbursts will brighten the garden and also free these little creatures from the cages that Nyx has been putting them in. Stop it, Nyx. Put me in a cage instead. You can even merge these cute little creatures and evolve them into higher levels, aka into cooler looking creatures. The more of these creatures you have, the faster you'll be able to save the Gardens of Gold from the evil goddess of night, who keeps calling me sweetie and also kitten. So we're basically a thing now. If you want to check out Midas Merge, just click the link in the description or use the QR code here, and if you're one of the first 100 people to use my link, you'll get this level 2 turtle named after me. You'll get your very own Chat turtle that looks just like me. Just kidding, it doesn't. That would be scary. Thank you to Midas Merge for sponsoring, and let's get back to the video. These haven't really been helpful so far, so let's watch this one, literally called Luke Belmar's Steps to Be Rich. This has got to be what we're looking for.
1. Go get spring water. Don't drink Dasani purified water. It's gonna fuck you up.
Water is gonna fuck me up.
2. Once you have a little bit of money, start eating super clean, super organic. Understand that the food that you consume has pesticides, has chemicals.
Once I have money, which I still don't have because that's what this tutorial is supposed to tell me.
Don't use a microwave. Microwave, you're literally cooking your food.
Microwave will cook food.
Neglect celebrities. Don't give a celebrities, they're just dirt.
Ignore celebrities, even though we're supposed to be making rich friends and they probably won't want to be our friend if we call them dirt and stuff.
Yo, drop me a $250,000 wire. He's a dirt bitch.
For someone who's always talking about the meaning of words,
I think people need to start studying words.
He seems to not understand the ones in step by step. We still don't know how to get rich like him. This wasn't even unhelpful advice. This was advice for after we've done the thing we needed advice for. What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to tie a shoe. This is just a quick step by step. As you can see, my shoes are already tied. Go fuck yourself. Don't put food in here, by the way. It'll make it cold. Be careful. Is that Chris Hemsworth?
Oi, it's me, Chris Hemsworth.
Get the fuck out of here, Chris. I'm gonna beat you up. You're gonna be so Thor tomorrow. I think one of the funniest things about Luke, though, is that he is completely obsessed with the Taint brothers. You know, the convicted human traffickers. You know, some of the worst people on the planet, some of the worst people alive right now. He talks about Andrew's brother Tristan so frequently and with so much excitement that it's like he's a freshman in high school getting to hang out with the mean, popular seniors.
Tristan Tate got us lit on Blue Label Johnny Walker, $250 cigars, $500 cigars, right?
What an experience.
So we're gonna go hang out with them today again. Dude, the guy did a 5-day fast. First thing how he breaks his fast, cigars and whiskey, and still outruns us. What a G, bro.
Dude, this guy starved himself, spent $1,000 on consumable goods, and still trafficked women right after. That guy is sick, dude. In the head, he's fucked up.
Your favorite car, bro?
The red one, the Aston Martin.
Tristan thinks well, guys. Critical thinking, I fucking love it.
Hello? Who, Luke? Yeah, he's here. One sec. It's Krispy Kreme. They said they want to offer you a job. They said because you're so good at glazing. He didn't even explain his thought process for why this is his favorite car. He just said the color. He literally just said the color of the car. That didn't even take regular thinking.
The red one.
Luke reacts to everything Tristan says like Tristan is paying him, which he might be.
Yo, drop me a $250,000 wire.
Tristan Tate is a dirt.
Allegedly, most definitely, allegedly, 1000% for sure, no doubt in my mind, allegedly. It's like Luke is on payroll and he's trying to keep his job. I think we should move this filing cabinet over there. Yes, genius. That's why this guy's in charge, right? No, actually, I hate that spot. That's the worst spot in the building. And I've always thought that. I've always said that. I don't know, maybe we should move the filing cabinet to my butt? But then it'll be in the way. How will I kiss it? Your butt. How will I hold it and kiss it and make out with it then? It's so crazy whenever people talk about the Taints like they're literal gods because, again, they're convicted human traffickers. And second, the least alpha thing you can do is look up to a man. Like, why are you looking up? were you doing down there? It's also such a public way to announce what kind of person you are to the world. Like, this is where you want to be. This is where you want to end up. This is your guy. Wooly Willie is your guy. I think this gives a pretty good idea of what kind of person Luke Belmar is, because wanting to be around the Tate brothers is like wanting to be inside a toilet bowl, because it means you're probably a big piece of shit. The water advice is pretty recurrent in all of Luke's teachings. It keeps coming up.
You can do Mountain Valley spring water. You can do Avian.
Evian. I love Evian.
Yeah, those are good ones.
Tastes good. Fiji? No.
He refuses to drink any regular water. It has to be specifically approved brands of bottled water. And he tends to project this mindset onto others around him.
Today I went to the dentist and she's like, can you rinse out your mouth? And I'm like, I'm not rinsing out my mouth with this tap water.
Even the monkey knows. Natural spring water. None of this tap water bullshit, bro.
The monkey was drinking the water, though. It seemed like it was having a good time until you approached it with the gentleness of a thwomp. Even monkeys know water is bad. I feel like once again he was inspired by the Taint brothers and Andrew always talking about bottles of water. I mean bottle of water.
Bottles of water.
Bottles of water. Bottle of water. I don't know when or why this mindset started, but maybe this clip has something to do with it.
Hey, your little 13-year-old daughter has acne. Let's put her on birth control to regulate her emotions. And now you put 100 million women in the United States on birth control. It goes to your urine. That estrogen goes into the water. So now you have all these feminized men drinking this tap water.
I guess this explains his and his fellow alphas' fear of water, because the mark of a true alpha is being scared of the basis of pretty much all life. We're not scared of anything. Yeah, we're all really tough. Except for 71% of the planet. Luke also has a tendency to make up numbers, which isn't a great characteristic to have as a finance expert.
Now you have 100 million women urinating highly estrogenated urine.
Where did 100 million come from? I love making up numbers based on nothing. I like my statistics how I like my hemorrhoids. Extracted from my ass. People who typically use birth control are in the age range of like 15 to 45. It's different for everybody. That age range in the US is only 66 women. 66 million. Not just, there's actually 66 women in the US, and I'm one of them. I'm the best one. And of that number, only about 15% use the pill. So that's less than 10 million. Where did all those extra millions come from? I thought this guy was supposed to know all about millions.
I've been able to capitalize on this digital gold rush. I've been able to generate millions of dollars.
Sure hope this isn't the same math he's using to calculate his net worth. So overall, with assets and investments, I'm probably worth around 20 million. Nice. What about liquid? Where? It's actually totally fine that we haven't learned anything of value yet from these videos, because Luke has an online course that he sells.
Now I can tell you, as a matter of fact, that there's people your age making an absolute fucking killing online, whether it's through e-commerce, drop shipping, crypto.
He has an online course that makes him most, if not all, of his income. What? Bones, what is happening? Who could have seen this happening? Why didn't you warn us, Bones? It's technically not just courses he's selling. It's actually a club where you get exclusive opportunities to connect with fellow entrepreneurs, which is something you can do on Instagram.
All you have to do is comment the words Capital Club, and I'll send you a private link so that you can tune into this private event.
Do you guys think it's private? Sorry, guys, I just didn't catch if it was private or not. Could you guys let me know if it was private or not? Here are some examples of the exclusive connections you can make after giving Luke and his entourage up to $15,000.
What do you guys do?
Full-time trading.
Full-time trading?
Yeah.
What markets?
Forex and commodities.
Where's my commodity? All right, there you go. Connect. All right, doesn't matter. Connect. Connect. Doesn't matter. Connect. Connect.
You'll also receive priceless mentoring like this.
Are you going to the gym every day? No, you're not. Are you sleeping well? No, you're not. I see eye bags under your eyes. So what you need to... Bro, look at me. Look at me. First of all...
Good thing this is inspirational, right? Otherwise, it would just seem like he's making fun of this person's appearance.
I see eye bags under your eyes.
Do you work out? Don't answer. I know you don't. Do you wash your face? No. Your pores are like craters. What am I looking at? I can't tell if I'm looking at skin or the surface of the moon. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I slept with your mom, okay? Now that we've mastered the financial aspect of alphafication,
Give me a $10 million contract.
let's move on to the physical one by learning from our next alpha, Ashton Hall. He can run very, very fast for undisclosed distances. He can dive into water. He can dive his face into water. Ashton Hall is a daily routine influencer who shows himself throughout the day as he gets ready to go places and then does things at those places. By the way, Chris James is how I learned about this guy because I deleted X from my phone. I couldn't stand to be there or look at it anymore. So everybody say, thank you, Chris James. Thank you. Is he gone? Thank God. That guy has 2 first names. Like, how many do you need? Don't be greedy. Ashton has been getting a lot of attention over this last month for how crazy and unrealistic his routine is. For example, he starts the day by waking up at 3:50 or 3:55 in the morning. And there's really no reason to do that. The sun's not out, so you can't see anything. Businesses aren't open, so you can't go anywhere. The worms aren't even awake, so he can't even get one of those even. I'm a little biased though, because I hate early risers. I don't mean I hate rising early. I mean I hate people who rise early. The people that I know who wake up absurdly early in the morning only do it so they can tell me about it. Obviously, if your schedule demands it, that's different, but I hate when people act like waking up early is a productive achievement in and of itself. You're just waking up at a different time. That doesn't mean that it's a better time, especially if you're like Ashton Hall and went to bed at 7 p.m. Actually sleeping more than most people. He goes to sleep at 7 and then doesn't wake up until 3:50 in the morning. That's almost 9 hours of sleep. Why am I doing so much math in this video? His morning routine video that went super viral says this in the caption: day 191 of the morning routine that changed my life. 3:50 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Sin lives late at night. If you're dealing with a weak mind, bad decisions, or lack of productivity, go to sleep early. Sin lives late at night. It's still night when you wake up. Sin is still around. He says variations of this phrase a lot.
Brother, what do you mean, how do I wake up at 3:50 a.m.? Listen, I go to sleep early because temptation lives late at night.
But if your willpower goes away the second the sun goes down, you probably have really weak willpower. You're still the same person no matter what time it is. So if you're making bad decisions, you can still do that during the day. Hey, you want to be in this 70-person orgy with us? There is nothing I'd like more. Sure. Yeah. I can't even begin to express how much I want to do this and how long I've wanted to do this and how much I appreciate you asking me and including me in this. What time is it? It's 5 a.m. I can't do this. But you just said you were gonna. I'm not that person anymore. It was 10 seconds ago. Ashton spends the rest of his mornings doing various things between each round of putting his face into ice water. Dipping his face into ice water is kind of like his checkpoint throughout the day. And he only does it with a specific brand of
domination. We have our orders. See it through.
Literal waste of water. Oh no.
Rinse his mouth after brushing his teeth.
More like Seth Rogen.
We're losing Charlie.
Tap water.
He's smiling with his teeth.
Requesting recon over.
We lost all zones.
All right, let's call this.
He just rogained and then
Taking Alpha.
Toothpaste, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just feel like maybe
Securing Charlie.
Sensitive and he didn't constantly expose them to ice water.
Alpha secure.
He's done waking up in the mornings. He usually goes on to the balcony.
Toro, requesting watchdog helo on my grid.
Charlie secured.
My favorite part of this
Let's
is
call this.
push-ups to because the wind moves his plant leg.
Toro, requesting LBDR.
Lockdown Bravo. Lost Alpha.
Anymore.
Taking B. Bravo is on. Bravo locked. Securing B.
She's just here to serve.
B secured. Losing B. Losing Bravo. We lost B. Net call. Enemy watchdog helo inbound. Enemy care package above. Taking Bravo underway.
Kane requesting UAV.
Find them. They're taking C. Enemy UAV inbound.
That's pretty clever. Take out
They're taking C. We're losing Charlie.
That's fine.
Hostile UAV established overhead. Taking A.
Taking fire!
Taking
down
B.
the air!
Zone Alpha captured. Bravo zone secure.
And I say self-acclaimed because
Hostile care package inbound.
say they're affiliated.
Losing C.
Trophy system was eliminated.
Fitness courses for
That was just for you.
fitness coach.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
He's fitness coach.
Net call. Sleeper agent detected.
The production quality of his running videos is insane. They have 2 camera rigs set up in 2 different cars so they can drive on either side of him and film him running in super high def. They've got him in slow motion, he's covered and sweat by the end, and you would be too if you ran for less than 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes. He doesn't even run for 10 minutes. He starts running at 7:27, and by 7:36, according to him, he's done running. He's done standing, too. He's in the air. He already did 4 minutes of that this morning. He doesn't need to do any more. He spent more time prepping and traveling to this location than he did running at this location. He could have just run down the stairs at his building instead of taking the elevator and saved himself like an hour and a half. Does that even count as a workout at that point? This is more like fleeing. He just briefly fled. He also tends to make a lot of noise during these intense runs. Wait, what's he saying? Guys, he's saying ice. Guys, he's scared of the ice water. That's why he's running away. His teeth can't take it anymore. Oh my God. The hands must be controlling him. They're making him do this. She's not serving him. She's serving torturous villain, baddie, bitch, pussy, slay, mother, The only reason guys like this are able to maintain these routines or waste time talking about what kind of bottled water is best
Fiji? No.
is because they're already rich. They didn't get rich because of these routines. They have these routines because they are rich. They have someone doing their chores for them. They have someone taking their car.
Thank you, and they're gonna lie and say, you do this, you'll get rich.
They're bored. They've got to do something. Just make sure you're not comparing yourself and the things you're doing to these optimized alphas or anyone online who seems like they have a productively maximized routine. Because first of all, there's no such thing as a perfect routine. routine. We have butt cheeks. It's not that serious. And second of all, they're easy to fake. Even I could fake the perfect routine if I just took everything I've learned from Ashton and Luke today and combined them. And I'm gonna do that. Right now. I'm gonna call it there, guys. Thank you for subscribing, and if you are still here, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you clicking on my video out of all the videos that are on here, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.
Up to $9,000. Despite the fact he hadn't withdrawn the money yet, he ran to go tell his parents how much he had made.
Dad, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, Dad. I just won $9,000.
Unexplainably, after hitting the milestone of $9,000, he decided to make one last run at Keno, and within a minute, he blazed right through $11,000 and finally $13,000. Drawing from the power of every single one of his ancestors, and with some degree of divine intervention, Austin was somehow capable of walking away from the keyboard while he was still up, for the very first time in his life.
500, if I lose, I'm leaving. Okay, last one, here we go. I'm out. Oh my God, I'm out.
What's crazier is that while 12 or 13 grand is a lot of money, that $200 he began with was what was left over from a previous Keno bender in which he got up to 5 grand, put most of it in the vault, claiming he was going to buy a car and a new graphics card, only to slowly but surely take it all out of the vault and gamble it away. According to all known laws of gambling, there is no way that Boss Man should be able to reach these heights. He was promptly contacted by the stake bot, and due to him being violently high during both of his winnings and doing other substances, he started replying to the bot like it was a real person. The bot was informing him of the benefits he'd now have as a Platinum 3 player, which meant that over $1 million worth of money had gone through his account. Sadly, sleuths who were keeping track of Boss Man's crypto wallet were able to see that he hadn't withdrawn after all and had continued to gamble, slowly going from a little over 12 grand to below $4,000. After all of that climb, nothing had really changed, and Austin was going to make sure his winnings made no difference by gradually chipping away at them, all while reassuring himself that he was still going to have enough to get himself a car at the end. When people started complaining that he was continually pulling out his winnings in order to keep making bets, this is what he said.
Let me tell you something. When you on a heater, don't just leave because you just won a lot. You might win a whole lot more than what you just won. That's a pro tip from a professional gambler, if you do, if I can't say so myself, pro gambler. Oh, my God! Oh my God, guys, look what just happened!
The fact that he won at the end, but that the money he won was far less than he ultimately lost by repeatedly drawing from his vault to keep gambling is a very special kind of funny. But just when you thought that this would run the usual course of Austin burning himself all the way down to zero and then crying and complaining that no one would juice him, something even more unexpected happened. Once he got down to $1,000 and started climbing back up again, he apparently took the wins for granted and began taking huge chances, betting hundreds of dollars per round of Keno. At one point, even getting up to over 1,000 on a single spin. This had all the makings of another legendary boss man breakdown, but unexplainably, he started winning again. A minute into his final Keno escapade, he turned a $900 bet into a total of $16,500. This was more than his historical 12,000 run from earlier, and once again, he started talking about cashing out. Talking being the operative word here, because, like always, he didn't. His gumption got the best of him, and he immediately tried to bet a whopping $3,000 on a single spin, but the site wouldn't allow him to do it.
Oh, it's too much. It's too much. You can't even do it for 3,000 Keno. You can do 1,000 though. Here we go.
Again, the odds were stacked as high as possible against our boy, and somehow he made it through.
Oh! Holy crap! I'm moving out! I'm moving out! I'm moving out! I have 30K! I have 30K! Oh my God! Mom!
What comes next is almost painful to watch. Despite having well over 20,000
Almost.
Bossman proceeds to do 10 consecutive $1,000 spins and lose every single dollar. Once he whittled his total down to 10,000, he doesn't stop and cash out. No, that would be a coward's move. And as he himself has said, scared money don't make no money. He just brings his bet down to 500 and continues to spin, only to bring it back up to 1,000 instantly and continue to disintegrate his money. In another act of serendipitous torture from whatever demonic entity is in charge of gambling, after he goes all the way down to a measly $3,000, he hits a 63x and balloons back up to $19,000.
Oh my God, just hit one. There we go. Oh my God! Oh my mother God! Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh my God! Holy crap, dude! This is like a movie.
Once again, feeling like he's on the hot streak of all hot streaks, he hikes his bet amount up to $1,000 again and proceeds to spin his wheels in the mud while screaming.
Get out the way! Move! Get out the way! Get out the way! Get out the way!
Despite the massive hype he's exhibiting here, it quickly dies down as he proceeds to lose on the majority of the next spins. And eventually, a smidgen of sense kicks in, and he brings his bet amount back down to 500 for a few spins until he goes back up to 1,000. This downright stupid move brings him back down to just $6,000, at which point he takes a break from the stream to recollect himself. When he comes back, he continues to spin 500s until he gets to 3,000, at which point, for reasons only a psychic, omniscient gambler like Bossman would understand, he brings it back up to 1,000 and continues to self-destruct, almost accepting defeat as he did it.
Oh my God. Holy crap. Oh well. This I got a crazy story to tell later.
But right as the Bossman plane stalled and was heading towards total incineration, the unimaginable somehow happened again. First to nearly 10,000.
Yeah! 8K win! 8K win!
Then to 19.
Oh! 19K! 19K! We're getting up over our record.
Then to 24.
Go back up to that thou wow. There you go. Oh my God, 24K. 24K.
And after a brief small period of losses to a never seen before 30 that led Austin to once again transform into an animal, this time a seal.
There it is! There it is, boys! What I say? What did I say? Oh my God!
Shortly after, he topped this amount once again by getting to $37 and finally $40,000. It gives me anxiety to see him continue to bet after he hits 40, saying that he wants to see if he'll hit 50. On one hand, I feel like a sadistic Bogendov brother who vicariously gets off on seeing Bossman endlessly stuck in the gambling equivalent of Mr. Bones' wild ride. On the other hand, I'm in the same ride with Austin, experiencing the same pain and the same joy that he does, and hoping that he wins wins and cashes out despite how undeserved that good ending is. He eventually manages to hit $48,000 before melting back down to 30 repeatedly and ending up going down to 18,000. Make no mistake though, this is still a historical win of unprecedented proportions and possibly done on purpose by whoever was Austin's original stake handler to buy back his undying loyalty to their company. It's important to remember that Austin got to the heights he got to while still having 13,000 in his stake vault from his previous winnings. So in reality, he peaked at a little over 60,000 and ended up with a total of 31. It's half of what it could have been, but it's also way, way more than what it should have been. So he got a lot of money. Regardless of how much he really lost, he could still afford everything he wanted with his money, which makes it that much more disheartening to see that after all this, the closest thing to actually cashing out Austin can come to is saying he'll take a breather. It pains me to say that of the 18,000 he got in this Keno run, he only cashed out 10, the remaining 8 being set aside to be re-gambled, which inevitably meant it got sucked back into the stake void from whence it came. In an even worse turn of events, when he bottomed out of the money he'd capped to continue gambling, he slowly but surely took out the money he'd saved in his vault at $500 a pop, and all of it was eaten up by stake. All of it. It's hard to even believe the words coming out of my mouth, and Austin was having some trouble believing it himself.
I just lost $40,000 today, man. I can't believe it, man.
This one time, his depressed attitude got the jump on his coke rage, and he managed to walk away from the bottomless pit that was his wallet without turning into Juggernaut from X-Men. I guess we can call that character development. On his Discord, he said, "Well guys, I lost it all. And you know what? That's okay. It's not like I earned it. I clicked on my mouse a few times and somehow made 40 grand. Yeah, I'm dumb for losing it, but I still got 3 meals and